Welcome to Team Adventurous, the Adventurous Watch Party, whatever the fuck you call these things. I'm your host, lead adventurer Zack. These are my two also esteemed hosts, my most beloved, wildest Kate, and my brother from another mother from the UK, Mason of the Dark. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. I paused for a moment because I wasn't sure whether Kate was going to go first and I didn't want to cut her up. It led to that little tiny awkward silence.
Okay.
I was like, did my audio fuck up? Did they hear me? I was like,
Yeah.
That'll teach me for trying to not cut Kate up.
Go ahead.
No, I'm doing good. Happy to have achieved the thing that I achieved today.
Yes.
which we will be getting to very shortly.
Yep.
I just wanted to introduce Mason to the namesake of this particular watch party.
Yes.
Of course.
Because he was unaware. Did you even know about, do you even know anything about College Humor, Mason?
I have heard of College Humor, but I've never watched anything by them, so.
Okay. You're not missing much, except for the CEO videos. Truly, the only good thing on that channel, really. Well, there's some of their old stuff, around the Obama presidency, was actually not too bad. But, mid-Obama, it just completely fell off.
Truly, madly, deeply.
Oh, my.
Giggity. All right.
I basically do my own little wrestling entrance every time we hit that stinger, by the way. Raise my arms. I'm the champion of the world.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. All right. So so Mason, I'm sure you remember the whole Tide Pod thing. People were eating Tide Pods.
No.
What?
You always expect me to know things. And I just have to reveal what an utter Philistine I am. No, I don't know that.
Oh my God, Mason! Okay, so oh my God, I can't believe you sometimes. All right,
you've got to bear in mind for quite depending. I mean, this might be a decent excuse depending on the time period, but you've got to bear in mind I couldn't get on the internet for quite a while because when my eyes were when I could still see towards the end, my eyes were so shit that it just was impossible to surf the internet.
Okay, I'll let you slide. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview here.
Yes, I used my eyesight as an excuse, and now he has no recourse.
Some fucking idiot, and I do mean idiot, just truly one of the dumbest fucking humans who ever humaned, decided it would be hilarious to do this, to start this thing called the Tide Pod Challenge. They put a Tide Pod in their mouth and chomped down on it, and the detergent gushed out of their fucking mouth, and it got something like 1 million fucking views, and people started eating fucking Tide Pods. One dude even juiced a Tide Pod into his fucking vape pen and smoked a Tide Pod, and it almost killed him, by the way.
Gosh.
So, amidst that whole internet trend of just truly peak human stupidity, College Humor put out this video called Tide CEO. You gotta stop eating Tide Pods.
To be honest, I think it's pretty irresponsible that you started that trend, Zach.
I am going to find where you live, Mason. I will not stop. I will not rest.
Oh, dear.
Kate, did you hear him go, oh dear? Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Hi, America. My name's David Taylor. I'm the CEO of the company that makes Tide and its corollary product, Tide Pods, which is what I want to talk to you about today. You gotta stop eating the Tide Pods, okay? get it. You guys are young, you're hip. You don't want an old guy telling you what to do. But Tide Pods are soap, and that's not food. So please,
But Tide Pods are soap,
Tide Pods.
and that's not
Make
food.
sure to keep an eye out for
I just.
Yeah. It's like, it's sad that they had to get to this point.
Yeah.
They genuinely had to get to this point.
I mean, they do smell really good.
They smell, and I don't know if you saw them before you lost your sight, but they do legitimately look like candy. They look like fucking giant fruit gushers.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I can't get over my nephew Trevor. He's my sister's youngest son, and just to fuck with my sister, when we would go to the grocery store, he would go through and he would say, "Ah, game flavored."
Yeah, you told me that. Never gets old though. Spring breeze flavor.
Ocean delight. Sounds lovely.
Linen. I haven't had fresh linen flavor before.
Citrus burst.
Yo.
Oh, well, at
Yeah.
least citrus burst actually does sound like one.
Right.
Yeah.
At least, like that could, and that's exactly the problem. It's like this smells like food. It looks like food, but if I eat it, I'll die.
Right.
dish pops. The lollipop that cleans your dishes.
The lollipop that cleans it.
Sorry. Are we calling it a lollipop? I'd love to see one if I could. Just get it. If we can find one in.
Huh.
He's never seen it before.
Our company has been innovating new products since it was founded, and we're proud to continue that tradition with our Vicks Vapo Rub Winter Blast gum-flavored bonbons.
Winter Blast gum flavored pomp. Nice.
What the
Ah, dear. That's lovely.
Yeah. I just love this skit because I truly, Mason, I wish you could see this guy's face. Like, I would lend you my sight for a day if it meant you could watch this video and just see this guy's acting. This guy's face, bro. This guy is wasted on YouTube. This guy should be like a lead star in comedic films, bro.
That's what my face is like, but it's also too ugly to show anyone. No, I'm completely kidding. I have no control over my facial muscles.
Oh, you cut out completely there for like the middle of that.
I said I have no control over my facial muscles.
No, never mind.
Do these look just like mints, like diner mints? I'm looking at it, and man, that looks like a mint to me. I mean, am I crazy?
Is it the same as Tide Pods?
What do you mean the same as Tide Pods? I also don't understand. Now that we're talking about it, what does gum flavored mean in this context? Bubble gum flavored? Gum tastes like anything. We're gonna get our fucking ass handed to us in court. I'm not pulling on this, all right? Forget dryer sheets. With Gain brand dryer powder, you simply pour the powder into the mixer. You take your dryer stick right here, and this is cotton candy. Am I the asshole? Like, how do you not get? Can we just cut? Can you cut the camera real quick?
Oh my god!
I'm trying to understand right now how this happened. I've been busting my ass on this fucking Tide Pods fiasco, and I turned my back for 3 seconds, and now our entire line of products is shaped like fucking candy. And I'm trying to understand how this happened. Why are you crying?
Why are you crying?
Ice cold.
Oh my god!
Leaked audio exclusive on College Sherma.
I love that part. Why are you crying?
Right.
Because you're shouting at me. That's why. You're doing it quietly, but you're still shouting at me.
You're shouting with your tone. It's a very
You're shouting with your tone. I love that. That's one of the funniest things you've ever said.
That's what that is. One of the fun. I wasn't even trying. That was literally
Well,
just.
That's why. Listen, mate, everyone's funnier when they're not trying to be funny.
Yes.
I think stand-up comedians would beg to differ.
I would disagree with. I mean, they might beg to differ, but I think some parts of like stand-up comedy that I've seen, the best moments have been like the unscripted moments where they've had to like react to something the audience has said or whatever. I don't know.
So I mean, yeah, those are good. I'm not saying like those unscripted moments where they interact with the audience or go off their set script for a minute. I'm not saying that's bad, but usually I think their written material is funnier.
Yeah, probably.
What the? Whatever.
I was conceding my point. You made a fair point.
I just didn't expect you to concede that point that easily.
It's not something that I care about that much, Zack. I'm not going to fight you on that.
He's like, I want you
I'm in
to
way
play
too much of a good mood to fight you on that.
I guess and now, Caitlin, we've zeroed in on one of the key the key differences between me and Mason yet again. He's in a good mood, so he doesn't want to fight with people. I'm in a good mood. I'm like, hey, yo, put him up.
Yeah. He's like, I want you to fight me.
Hey, well, fuck you then, you prick.
It'll be fun.
I'm such a rabid dog.
And you know what we do with rabid dogs? We set them on their neighbors.
Right, yeah. Yes.
You thought I was going to say we put them down, but we don't. We'd weaponize them.
That's right.
Okay. Not only should none of these be flavored, because why would you flavor them? This is the coldest thing I've ever held. And as in everything else today, people will try to eat these. Even if they're not poisonous, we don't want people eating fucking tampons. Why are they poisonous? Go cuckoo for cleanliness with our cocoa butter premium Pampers brand Chuck so the kids eat shit. Right? That's what this is. The kids, they eat shit. It's chocolate, diaper, poop. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. Is it chocolate? Is it poop? Do we care? Does anyone care? Who knows? I'm not going to do this product, so we'll be moving on. Jesus Christ. Okay. Try Crest brand dinner paste for the hungry consumer on the go. Throw a fluoride-filled meal bag in your gullet?
Like, whoa.
I love how he has no idea what's going on in his own company.
Right.
No.
He's like,
It's
I don't
so
know.
great. It's like, how did all of this get past the R&D student? I want Dave in my office immediately.
Now. Yeah.
Get greenlit.
Right, yeah. Fuck having him in the office. I want him down here right now. I don't care that it's this kid's birthday party.
What's up, boss?
Dave, you gotta help me understand. Why the fuck did you approve a fucking product that looks like a shitty diaper? How does this help people clean their laundry?
It was on my desk.
You brought your kids to work and you put their shitty diapers on? That's a mahogany desk, Dave.
Really? eBay, yeah.
What?
Never mind. Yeah, I'll sort it out. Leave me alone.
Oh, this is why I love doing these fucking comedic things with Mason. He takes a funny thing and just makes it so much better. And I feel like, what's really good about it, too? I'm recycling old laughs that I had about that. Like, this was always funny, but now I get to, it's even funnier because now there's more depth added to it with my friends. Oh, I love spending time with you guys.
It is great.
Do make food. So we do now make food. Meal bag. I'll kill you. It doesn't matter.
I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
Like, you're dead.
Chill out, boss. You used to be cool, man.
Oh, God.
You haven't been the same since you got married, bro.
This is going to be usable. You understand? That's a hamburger.
It's a razor.
That's a razor. That's a Gillette razor. Bring me shaving cream right now. And if it doesn't shave my face, it's your ass. You get that, right? Here we go.
Yeah, you see, now I don't know whether it's funnier if it actually shaves his face or it doesn't. I really can't decide whether I think it would be funnier if it just like spread mayo all over his face or actually shaved his beard.
Well, just to fill you in, he is holding, it looks like they just went to like Burger King and got a Whopper or something, and he is holding it up to his face, and it is indeed shaving his face right now.
Brilliant. I love that.
I love your reaction. Mason's just like, brilliant. That is such a quintessentially British reaction, Kate.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I may as well have gone splendid.
Oh, splendid. Yes, quite. Yes, Chelsea.
No.
Oh my God. That is a killer shave. That is like baby's bottom smooth. The other stuff I don't know about, but the hamburger is working for me.
Oh my God.
Hi, it's Mike Trapp from College Humor. Click here to subscribe. Click here for more fun things, and send help to keep me from sinking. Please, please help. Please help.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna look for one of the other ones here. Oh my. Okay, Mason, are you familiar with Tumblr?
No.
Oh God. Okay.
I'm fucking with you, bro.
Oh. Yeah.
I knew that I had the credit to get away with that joke.
You should have. Oh my gosh! I wish you could have seen his face when you said that.
I felt the disdain from here.
He was like,
The thing is, I totally wouldn't have gotten away with that with Lee. She'd have taken one look at my face and she'd have been like, fucking liar.
Okay, so this next one is Tumblr CEO, no more porn.
Hey, internet citizens, it's me, Harry Pancake, the CEO of Tumblr.
Harry Pancake.
Yeah. They give him the best names.
Right. I just love, as you go through this series, the names just get more ridiculous. Harry Pancake.
Harry Pancake.
I definitely feel like that's a euphemism for something adult.
Yeah, well, I would say so. If it's not, it is now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
The difficult process of removing all adult content from our platform. We know some of our users are unhappy with this decision, but Tumblr's a family company, and there's so much of what we do have to offer that is SFW, short for safe, fun.
That's not what it stands for, Harry.
No.
We know that. He doesn't. And that's the joke.
Tumblr's a vibrant space for artists, comedians, young activists, and the many non-pornographic communities that make up our platform.
And fan fiction.
Consider the thriving mascot community we have here on Tumblr. These sports heads can't get enough of their team's mascots. If you spend any time at all scrolling under the furry hashtag, you'll be wowed at their craftsmanship, ingenuity, and dedication. What am I looking at here, Carm? Because that... So you're telling me I'm looking at this lion, I guess centaur, penetrating this lady koala from behind. That is not indicative of what the furry community is about. So,
It
what?
extremely
Okay, so you're
is.
telling me if I
It extremely is. I love that sentence made no grammatical sense whatsoever, but communicated exactly what she wanted to say.
Yes.
That's what I love about this language. Like, there's just some things that work in speech or in even they work in on written dialogue as long as the quotes are there. It makes sense. But I just love that about this language where it's like, okay, the syntax is garbage. This makes no grammatical sense, but everyone understands what he just said.
Yeah.
I absolutely love
Kind of
that.
like reading your book.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
It's like, hey.
I'm behind, that is not indicative of what the furry community is about. So, what? Okay, so you're telling me that if I go to Yif Party,
Don't do it.
Spit takes are tight.
That was a vomit take. He vomited.
all over himself.
It looked like it was chunky Alfredo sauce. It was really gross.
Oh, lovely. Oh, very lovely.
Oh my god. It's like the old theater trick when I really wanted anybody to look like they threw up. It's like, okay, condensed vegetable soup, go.
Yep.
your furry community is just these foxes and badgers and dragons all banging each other?
Well, dragons call themselves scalies.
Do you think that was my question?
Do you think that was my question?
It's like, not only was that not my question, but I feel like you're dodging the question.
With its nipples, how does this not violate our extremely clarified nipple policy?
Well, frogs normally don't have nipples, so we couldn't tell if they were female presenting.
The frogs got tits out to here, Carmen. I've never seen big... Where?
This is actually pretty funny.
Tumblr is about creativity.
God damn it, I totally forgot about that part. I almost just sprayed my whole desk in full throttle. He said, go to hell!
I love that. I love that laugh when you do that one. It's brilliant. I just hear the teenager that still lives inside your brain. He's like, Zack, this is really fucking funny, dude.
Give me far too much credit. He's 12. Oh, man. Oh, man.
But look at the great fan-created fiction that's already on here. Sherlock Holmes, as a high school student, shared over 800,000 times. The Untold Adventures of Samwise and Frodo, sharing a villa in the Tuscan countryside? How creative!
Give me that right now.
Oh my god.
I want that on my desk in 5 minutes.
Right.
One of my favorite fan fictions, Harry Potter and the Wand of Impossible Girth. But I don't understand. Why do you
I just almost choked on my energy drink.
grip tender balls of the boy who lived and whispered, Dobby is master now. And Cornelius gets
I love how just progressively over this, like his face is just slowly. It's like his innocence has been completely shattered. He's like,
Dobby
oh,
is master now.
what is life? I don't know anymore. I'm questioning everything that's ever happened.
Harry Potter gave Dobby a suck, so Dobby gave Harry Potter his cock.
God damn it.
Oh.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
conservatively, what percentage of our platform is porn?
99.9%.
9%? 90? Martha, I'm not. I just am trying to understand how this didn't.
That's legit funny.
Yes.
Oh
I love this reaction. That's legit funny.
God.
It reminds me of my best friend from high school, Brad. Brad was always oh, it's got me really good. Brad was always he always did really, really high pitched screams like that.
Oh.
Oh, classic.
Martha, I'm not.
It was just as funny the second time round. I've actually got tears in my eyes.
Oh, the tears. Man, there's something poetic there, I swear. Oh, oh my god.
So funny that it elicited tears from my cold, dead eyeballs. I didn't even know that was still possible.
Oh my god.
I haven't cried since the doctor told me that they were going to take away my sight.
Oh no. Oh no.
You got a short now of like 2 minutes of Team Adventurous laughing.
No.
No context, just
None.
laughter.
Oh my god, yeah, that should be a short. You know what else should be a short? Like a few days after I upload the Just Us Laughing, I'll upload it with just that bit. I'll sound like such an asshole, but it'll be worth it.
Oh.
Oh man.
Angry. I just am trying to understand how this didn't get to me. When I started this website, I wanted it to be about buddies doing social media. That's why I started the BDSM tag. It's full of what?
Oh, that's an excellent joke. I wanted it to be buddies doing social media. That's why I started the BDSM.
It's full of what? Oh.
My stomach aches.
Yeah, I'm getting that thing where your face starts to feel warm from smiling.
You know what? You know what's brilliant? You know why that joke is extra good?
Why?
Because they seeded it at the beginning of the video with the SFW joke.
Yeah.
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 Like, it would be funny on its own, but because they seeded it with the earlier one that gave us the context of this guy doesn't know acronyms.
Right.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, this, like I said, this is definitely the best content on the channel, period. It's not even close. Like, these are the best. This is the creme de la creme of what college humor will bring you, period.
Okay? It can't all be porn. There's got to be some not porn on the platform. Activists. We have got young activists. Head over to Socialist, put up Socialist Tumblr, and I bet there's...
now I'm just gonna give you a quick summary of what's on the screen. It's Karl Marx in sex leather with a stripper in a thong kneeling. He's in a chair sitting, and she's over him and the chair's leg, and there's a hammer and sickle tattoo on her ass.
Nice.
And it says, and it's captioned with "Comrades never leave an ass uneaten."
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Cute. That's
Cute.
real cute, gang. So, what? This is seizing the means of production? I will find it. I will find the non-porn, all right? Cooking. Look, this eggplant, water on a crying man. No. Family.
No.
No.
This thirsty stepsister needs a big man. No. Family. Your thirsty stepsister needs a big... No, she doesn't need that. And in fact, nobody needs that. Something boring. DIY. Here, watch a hydraulic press crush my quivering virgin asshole. Why is everyone on the internet so horny? Why is nobody... Rule 34, be polite. Rule 34? So you're telling me that if I put in anything, a Bronson Pinchot, Perfect Strangers, straight guy, first time anal bareback, that it's 12 million results. That's the real Bronson Pinchot.
Gosh.
That's the real Bronson Pinchot.
I just love that last part. There's 30 million results. Now, I will tell you, I have tested this, and I have found exceptions to Rule 34. However, that was years ago, so I imagine someone's probably done it by now.
Incorrect. You have never found that exception, and I don't believe you.
If it was the kind of thing that could be on YouTube, I'd prove you wrong.
Well, I don't understand what the octopus is getting out of any of this. And frankly, the young woman doesn't look very happy either. And this is under the cartoons tag. Yabba dabba, do not search under there if you want to just watch some Flintstones or something wholesome.
Oh, God.
Idiot, right? Just a fool. Wanted a website, some artsy photos of rain, a couple of bad poems, and a conversation format that was frankly impossible to follow. You took my dream and you stuffed it up with dicks and pussies and hard nuts. Really?
Yeah, it's a neo-Nazi advocating genocide.
I beg your pardon? Freedom of speech, heard of it?
Oh my god.
Hey guys, it's Brennan from College Humor. Click here to subscribe. Click here.
Fucking Tumblr, man.
Yep.
The social media site that pretty much no one misses.
Yeah.
Wait, does it not exist anymore?
Mm.
No, I think it still exists. Hang on.
Does it?
Where?
Is it still around?
I think it still exists. Yeah, it's still here. It's still here. But like the usage of Tumblr is like not.
Yeah, it's gone the way of MySpace.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's still a few diehards who still use it, but it's like it's just not a thing, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got. Let's see if there's any more.
That was a beautiful song.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. There is one more I'm going to give you just because it's basically part 2 of what we've already seen, and then we'll move on. God damn it. There it is.
Quick, there's a guy on a motorbike outside my house. Wish him bad luck.
It was very cool of you to come here and do this. Thank you for staying at all times. God, I need a fucking haircut. Hello again, America. It's me, David Taylor, the CEO of the company that makes Tide and its corollary product, Tide Pods. A couple of years ago, I tried to check in with you all to explain what I consider a really vital concept. So, is not food. No part of me at that time could have ever guessed that wouldn't have covered all our bases. But astoundingly, I'm once again back to say that in addition to not being food, soap is also not medicine. Not medicine. It's not.
I was wondering where that was going then, because it was either going to be like, I thought it was going to be like masturbatory aids or something. See, now he's going to have to clarify whether it's a masturbatory aid or not.
It is slick.
I mean, logic dictates that it's not, but I'm not going to decide either way unless he tells me directly.
Tide Pods, don't drink bleach, and never inject disinfectants into your body. No matter what you hear from anybody at all, this is a bad idea. Okay? There are many other
Are you aware of the backstory to this, Mason?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
non-lethal ways to enjoy the vast array of products to keep your home clean, fresh, and most importantly in these trying times, disease-free. Take, for example, our new concentrated dry soap tabs. Add water to just one of these capsules to make a whole bottle of hand soap. Steve, are you there, bud? Can you unmute for a sec?
Yeah.
Hey, these kind of look like aspirin. You know, they don't look like soap. There's literally a child
in his brain. He's like, it's happening again.
I know. He's like, no, not again.
It'd be funny if he just called the whole meeting off now because I know where this is going.
Right. Well, if they did a third one with the same CEO, they would just have to do it that way.
Yeah.
Right. But we also don't want adults to think that they're medicine. So
the president said that people over the age of 18 can eat soap.
What? These are
just for historical record, that is a patent lie. Moving on.
Trying times for everyone, and the Tide Corporation is here for you. When you're trapped in your home, it's important that it smells fresh and clean. That's why our heavy-duty plug-in air fresheners have more vents than before to freshen more air that we can't. Well, sorry guys, we obviously can't call them ventilators, right? Obviously can't call them ventilators. Do you see that creates a confusion? Every hospital in the country is trying to buy more ventilators, and we're selling a product called ventilators. Steven! Steven! is not good.
Steven!
Bad.
Caitlin, I love how he said that kind of the same way we go, Jeremy!
Jeremy, you promised, Jeremy.
I love the idea that Steve's just doing that thing like the and my signal's really it's really bad. I think I'm going into a
tunnel.
100% that is my headcanon for what he was doing.
Have you plugged in the Ethernet like I screamed at you to do?
Hey, David, there was a ladder.
like I screamed at you to do.
In these trying times, I swear to God, I can't say trying times. There's got to be another way to convey that.
Now, Mason, there's got to be another way to communicate that idea. Now, Mason, I want you to listen very carefully, Mason. Listen to what his PA says.
What about in these times which try people?
These times which are trying.
Oh. That's like the dude who's decided he wants to lose his job, and so he just starts fucking with his boss.
I fucking hate this guy. I don't want to quit.
I will make you fire me.
I want my severance package.
Say see you later to loose fibers with the new Tide defibrillator. No, the defibrillator. What's happened? What are we...
Defibrillator. That took me a little second. If I had seen that written down, it might not have taken me a few seconds, but the defibrillator.
And if you were able to see the fucking image that popped up on the screen, it's a dude holding some defib panels, but they've got the Tide logo on them.
Credit to whoever writes these videos. They've actually they've come up with some decent puns.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I said, best shit on the channel, period.
And then we named it defibrillator. It's literally a defibrillator.
Oh, no, don't worry. It's not actually a defibrillator.
I know that! Steven! I know that!
I love how the camera goes to the dude's dog and it's just cowering in its cage.
I know that! Sounded so much like Bob Odenkirk then.
Hello. Why is there a doctor holding it?
It's to honor our healthcare workers.
You do not get to pretend.
I love this next part. This is actually like one of the first times I heard something on College Humor that I like fundamentally agreed with.
It's to honor our healthcare workers.
You do not get to pretend that you're being noble if you're just doing some random shit. If I fucking jerk off on the subway and I say, this one's for the troops, that doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter! Oh god, that's fucking hilarious. If I just jerk off on the subway and go, this one's for the troops.
In fact, I think that achieves the opposite effect of what you were going for.
Right.
You have to actually help people to honor them. Give them a pay raise. I can't believe this is happening to me. Never mind the new product. Just buy regular Tide laundry detergent because that keeps your clothes clean. If you're on the go and you really need it, you can use a Tide to Go pen. Right now, all proceeds from our Tide pens are actually going to, this is actually a good thing. They're actually going to go towards funding epidemic relief. We're calling them EpiPens!
I love that he hadn't read that label fully. He's like, okay, this one's actually a good idea. Got to the end of the label.
He's like,
He was like,
I just love this line.
This is actually a good thing. They're actually going to go towards funding epidemic relief. We're calling them
this next part right here.
EpiPens! Oh, get fucked. No, we're not.
Somebody is trolling me right now.
Get fucked. No, we're not. not like he was giving an order. This is what makes that delivery so good. That line
Yeah.
is so good. Not like he's giving an order, like he's surprised and can't do anything about it.
Well, and he's like, nah, it's someone's fucking with me right now. No, we're not.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
No.
Oh no, the fuck we aren't.
Yeah, I love how he's just like he's Looney Tunes right now with like the fucking face going red and the steam coming out of the ears and the whistling kettle.
That's actually, I don't know if he's able to do this like on purpose or it's just because he's yelling a bunch, but his face actually has gotten slightly redder over the course of the skit.
This isn't a thing we can do. Does nobody see an issue with this? God, help us, EpiPens. Why does this have a safety cap like an EpiPen if it's for soap?
So the soap doesn't get out.
So the soap doesn't get out.
Yeah, you're a dead man.
You're a dead man.
You're a dead man.
I believe him too.
Yeah.
With that delivery, he's like, right, as soon as this conference call is over, I'm hiring a hitman. But, no, I'm not. I'm going to come and throttle you, Steve.
Myself.
I'm going to use one of these EpiPens to give you a tracheotomy.
I will break quarantine to find you. I mean, we're going to get sued just for the name alone.
I haven't passed by legal yet, but
Why haven't we passed it by legal? This is a repeat of the Tide Pod thing, and I fucking clawed my way out of that shit. And now we got goddamn defibrillators. Explain to me how it is that I didn't see these designs until right now. Oh, Jesus. No one likes sharing their work over Zoom. Surgeon General's warning. Not eat soap to treat disease. Do we see how this could be a fucking problem? Also, I said I wanted normal soap. I didn't want it named normal soap. How do I fix
And I love how his hair just progressively over the course of this has just become like way more disheveled.
Like he was at a concert headbanging.
Yes.
Like aggressively.
Yes.
Oh, that's never a good idea.
now more than ever?
And now even more. like I can't tell if this guy just like got done like fucking like having a straight up street fight. Got out of bed. But like that is just like the most disheveled hair you could possibly imagine on this man.
The world needs the peace of mind that can only come from the lavender freshness cleaning injector. This is a syringe. This is just a syringe. That's all that this is.
it's for getting soap in narrow spaces.
Oh, okay. Is that why it comes
What
in this?
narrow spaces, Steve?
Right.
What narrow spaces do you desperately need to clean, Steve?
Your ears, maybe? I don't know.
I clean inside my pee-pee.
Ah,
Why is it a Swiss flag?
We're honoring our brethren of the Swiss country. The coronavirus also exists in Switzerland.
Am I Cassandra? doomed to profit alone and unheeded by the weary world, I told them the Tide Pods look like little gooey candies. And they said no. And now the leader of the free world wants us to drink bleach. Do I drag my carcass to the mountaintop once more? Just to scream a warning that will go unheeded and unheard? Or do I end it?
Jesus.
I just love the way he looks at the camera. Just this guy's acting truly is incredible because there's
No, that was genuinely good. I was quite, I was captivated by that.
well, it's his face too. There is just the barest hint of madness in his eyes.
It's like, this man is broken.
like I see in this man's face, the tinder pile is built and someone poured gasoline and someone is like 3 feet away with a match.
Yup.
That's what I see on this man's face. Oh, like this is the moment right before the guy snaps. The moment where if you do the right thing, he's going to say and walk away. And if you say the wrong thing, he's going to pull out the gun and start blasting. Oh my god.
This straight up says Tide Suppositories on it. What possible explanation could there be for us to make a product called Tide Suppositories? What is it?
It's a suppository.
Why are we making suppositories?
I love that laugh, Mason. He's like, it's like
you sounded almost like you were about to say that you were the great Cornholio.
I think it's just at this point I'm just kind of enjoying his torment. I kind of understand why they've created all these products now.
Oh my god! What? Oh man!
Steve, I don't think we should do this again. No, what are you talking about? We totally should have. You seen his face? Wait, just wait till he sees the defibrillator. It's going to be brilliant. And then by the time he's seen all of this shit, when he gets to the suppositories, he is going to flip, Cassie. He's going to flip.
Or he's died and gone to hell, and this is his torment, and he just hasn't figured out that he's dead yet.
Listen, Cassie, I am this close to the CEO position. I can't afford to murder this guy, so I need him to kill himself.
I'm going to drive him mad so he quits.
So people can
Quits life.
Right.
So they can clean their ass?
toilet paper supplies.
Shut up. Weirdly, bizarrely, I actually follow the logic on this one.
They've broken him.
They
some
did.
people can clean their ass. It's like
I love how in my head, kind of there, Steve's like, no, shit.
Right.
oh,
He's like,
I will
no.
just all right.
Oh,
I'm gonna pull up my watch later list and we'll watch. No, stop it! Shut up! Stop!
Stop me! No.
Oh my god! It's 48 fucking minutes! Holy shit! Okay, hold that thought. I'm gonna go take a piss. I'll be right back. We'll do this.
All right.
We'll do this.
Yeah. Yep. Go excrete urine from your sack pee.
Get rid of the paper.
Oh my god. Oh.
So,
Yes.
how's your week going?
It's going pretty good. I'm still not really having a whole lot of luck with my Kickstarter, but I will have to say what I have learned from this experience so far is that unless your name is Brandon Sanderson, most likely getting your book funded on Kickstarter is going to be like way hard.
Yeah, he already has the clout to get that done. I mean, everybody loves him.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, disappointingly, I don't really see why from what I've seen. Like, granted, I only have a small sample size, but I mean, I read Mistborn
Mhm.
and I liked it. I mean, in terms of the magic system, I thought the magic system was the strongest part of it, and I really, really enjoyed that. But I just characterization wise, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
just never invested in Vin. I didn't buy the romance and stuff.
Mhm.
Like, have you read Mistborn?
No, I have not. I have
There's a secondary romance that they introduce in the second book,
not.
and I actually bought that romance more than the main romance between the main two characters.
Yeah, because my brother Jordan, he's been reading a lot of Brandon Sanderson's stuff, and because some of the guys at work got him into it, and so I've been looking into some of Brandon's stuff, and I mean it's somewhat irritating in the sense that like you get so much of the story, but then like he changes over to a whole other part once you get into a section where you're like, okay, now I'm into the good part, and then he changes to somewhere
Yeah.
else. You're like, oh no. And then so you keep reading and you realize, oh hey, okay, so this part actually does have something to do with the other part that I was reading. But once you get to the part where you're like really in the zone and into it, he switches again to somewhere else. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh no, why would you do that? And
I
then,
mean, well,
yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna. I mean, and there were a few things that he did in Mistborn that I really did enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, in the first one, the thing that I really enjoyed was like this team dynamic, because the first one is all like, I mean, to start with, it's based around them like doing a heist,
Mm-hmm.
and so they introduce all the characters, all the little, this guy does this job and this guy does this job, and I actually really liked the team dynamic. And by the end of the first book, a lot of shit happens that you're like, okay, well, I wasn't expecting that. Like, you pulled the rug out from under me, and yeah, okay, cool.
Mhm.
But then the rest of the series, the side characters that you've like made me invest in this team dynamic, they just barely get any characterization.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the balls, the fucking balls. Oh, like that. I've actually touched on something I hated about that series.
Oh.
Well, 'cause in the fucking city that they live in, I can't even remember what it was called now, but there's all these like noble houses, and the main character, like, part of her job is to like get in with the nobles, so she has to go to these fancy fucking balls, and
Uh-huh.
they are the most mind-numbingly boring. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
Brandon, okay.
Yeah, it's like, we see what you're doing here. Okay, your name is not George R. R. Martin. Stop it. Yeah, because right now gotten started on the Stormlight series because that's what my brother was reading. So yeah, it's alright.
Right. Now it's my turn, and I'll
Yes.
quickly go and relieve myself before we settle in.
Oh, man. Kate, do you need to do the same?
No,
You sure?
I'm good.
You don't need a little tinkle?
No, I'm good, Jeremy.
A little tinkle sprinkle?
I'm fine, Jeremy.
You sure about that, Jeremy?
Jeremy.
Let's check in with Daddy Prime.
On me.
Yep.
Why me, you pussy? Like, why? Like 140 milliseconds for a ping. It's crazy.
Lag.
Why?
Get shit on.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Get shit on.
Trash. Your ass.
Get shit
I
on!
love those memes, dude.
Get
They're fucking
shit
amazing.
Your ass! Your
Yes. One day, what's that?
Here we go. I'm good. Feeling.
Come on, Prime.
You.
Shoot some
Come
stuff.
on. You can do it.
Ping, 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 ping. My friend alone. Forgot I've black. I hide it. Okay, looks like I died on that one.
Oh, man.
You know?
What?
I have no idea.
I suggest you take a big old shit.
Head over to TikTok for me and fucking.
What's that?
Hey, Caitlin, what's a funny song? What's a David Lynch song?
David Lynch song?
My shits.
Yeah, you know, the guy who does the comedy songs.
Oh man, what did he hit me with? It looked like.
I don't know.
I could fucking just like the video thing that's happening. It'd be fucking a dope, and I would appreciate it like a lot.
Come on, the guy who does the song like "My name is Satan." That song.
In my bio.
Like, you don't know that guy?
No.
I can't believe you don't know David Lynch. I'm thinking of the wrong guy.
My name is Satan.
Yeah, who is that guy?
Yeah, it's David Lynch.
It is David Lynch?
I think so.
It's like.
I thought so anyway.
Oh, it's Stephen Lynch. It's Stephen Lynch.
Okay. Yeah, David Lynch is a director.
Yeah, I think it was saying filmmaker. It also did say musician on him, but it was obviously a different guy. Okay, yeah. Stephen Lynch. We're going to just pull him up because apparently Caitlin does not know about Stephen Lynch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this song's brilliant.
Okay, we'll check that out after Mason's thing. Alrighty, everyone ready?
Yeah.
Refresh.
Yes, I am. And I love how it's 48 minutes, and that's with me being like, I'm going to make this chapter shorter this time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is significantly shorter, but I think I've got past the point with Bleeding Ground where I can do 20-minute videos now.
Yeah.
Something had changed within Valdus. It was undeniable, and also incredibly inconvenient. For time immeasurable, he had witnessed the endless cycle of humanity. Their rise, their fall, and their rebirth played out time and time again. Despite the fact that they simply refused to learn from their mistakes, human beings were far more tenacious and persistent than he had initially given them credit for. No matter how close they came to extinction, and that last time they really had come so very close, they always found a way to scratch and claw their way back from the brink. It was from the long game that Valdus had always derived the most pleasure. The fleeting nature of a mortal life, combined with their jealousy, greed, and pride, had always made people desperately malleable and easy to manipulate. There had never been anything more satisfying than simply waiting patiently for a carefully constructed plan to come to fruition. Valdus had corrupted the powerful and sown the seeds of discord that would eventually break the bonds of both family and friendship. Without lifting a single finger, he had destroyed entire communities from the shadows. Why was it, then, that a mere 6 months after his triumphant arrival at the Cove, that he was already almost unbearably bored? The game...
Oh, God. I thought that might be where it was headed, and I was like, oh, that's not good for them if that's what's going on here.
I love how he's just like an immortal child.
Yeah.
I'm bored. You guys are so uninteresting.
Oh my God. And I like that intro. I really feel like that intro gives us a little bit more world building, because I like with that description of Valdus's lifespan, I now definitely feel like this is set in the far future of Earth.
Mm-hmm. There's other things I think that will hint at that too throughout this chapter.
Oh, it would have been more fun if you were like, nah, Zach, you're misreading that one.
There's no point. There's really no point. Not with what gets said.
Okay.
But Blade in Huxley had been fun. The people who had made that valley their home were simple-minded and good-natured, which had made it incredibly easy to insert himself into their ranks all those years ago. A few small tricks.
Oh my God, Caitlin.
What?
If this is in the far future,
Uh-huh.
you know what that could mean?
What?
That could mean the reason that a reference to Dolge exists in this universe is because this is Earth thousands of years after my story ends.
Right.
Yep. That is
Yeah.
possible. It's been published. He's read it because he's read all the books because he's had time. He's even read Elfista the Sorceress.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh, what a horrid
Saturday.
future that is.
But hang on, I thought the reference to my work was in a chapter from the God damn it.
It was in the last chapter. Yeah, it was from Evander's point of view, but it also wasn't it wasn't explicitly like a Delge reference. Well, I mean it was for anyone that knows, but the reason I did it the way that I did it was that it was like sort of like a legend within that world.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So good.
That was all it had taken to have them eating out of the palm of his hand. They had turned to him for advice, for comfort, for wisdom, and he had watched as their admiration for him grew and grew. In the end, they had respected, even loved him, and that had made the grand finale all the sweeter. But maybe he had simply waited too long. Perhaps his restless disquiet was caused, at least in part, by the gnawing frustration that he had unfinished business, a rare loose end. The plan had always been that when the time came to leave Huxley behind, Valdus would orchestrate its utter destruction. And even though almost everything fell perfectly into place, Valdus was forced to admit that even he was unable to always plan for every contingency. The Fletcher boy had been away during those final days, and whilst his absence had been a source of immense irritation at first, in the end it had been the true crowning stroke. For just one man to survive, especially one who was destined for a seat of power, was poetic. One lonely survivor left behind to bear witness to the events that had taken place.
Oh man, I absolutely love this because Evander thinks that he did it deliberately, and it was just a fucking mistake.
Well, it was a mistake that Evander was away during,
Right.
the moment. But
Right.
I would say that this is I would say in my head this is confirmation that Evander is right. He did, he confessed. They locked him up. He knew that they would do the summoning of the Taken, and then he had to just go away on whatever fucking little trip he was on. God damn it, Evander!
Right.
Right. Man. The fuck?
What?
I just be getting the most random fucking calls. Anyway.
To keep their memory alive. It was magnificent. The thought of that one lonely survivor returning home to find nothing but death and destruction had amused Valdus, and so he had designed a masterpiece, a paragon of turpitude that would haunt them until their dying day. Desiring the fruits of his labour, Valdus had waited a fortnight in that silent necropolis for the boy's return, and in that time he had never quite decided whether or not he would deliver the coup de grace, or allow Fletcher to live on in never-ending misery. The sudden onset of winter, with its heavy snowfall, the cold and the quiet, had made Valdus impatient, and in the end he had decided to move on. But still, he hoped that Fletcher was out there somewhere, seeking revenge, and that one day they would meet again, so he could finally tie up that loose end. It felt to Valdus that he had simply swapped one quiet, primitive corner of the world for another, and traded farmers for fishermen. At least the people of Huxley had been interesting, with all their superstitions, traditions, and a high council to manipulate. But the Cove was utterly uninspiring. Its inhabitants were too few in number for any elaborate subterfuge to take place. They were crude and unsophisticated. They moved from one day to the next like witless animals with no ambition or imagination to speak of. There was no fun to be had here, and it was taking every ounce of patience that Valdus had left to not slaughter the entire settlement and move on to somewhere less mundane. I love how he's almost offended at them for being so fucking boring.
Right. He's like, how dare you?
No, almost about it. He's like, humans are fucking... He's like, humans are ants, but you people are amoebas.
It's like, I just, in my head, it's just, oh god, it just amuses me so much, just him sitting there stewing at them for being so boring. I had a lot of fun writing that bit and narrating it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it would satisfy his urges for now, but it would not solve the problem altogether.
Wait, hang on.
It was with all of this running through his mind. Yes, that would be easy. Somewhere less mundane. Yes, that would be easy. And it would satisfy his urges for now, but it would not solve the problem altogether. It was with all of this running through his mind that Valdus found himself waiting in the Cove's communal building. Due to recent events, the leader of the settlement, John, had called for an emergency meeting, and this, at least, might provide a modicum of entertainment. The rickety tables had been pushed against the walls. Chairs were laid out in disorderly rows, and the air was filled with a nervous tension. To the left of Valdus sat Arya, the quiet girl whose mother had been killed on the night of the raid, which had provided an excellent pretext for his continued residency. Valdus was a man who had lost his family to the marauders who had killed Arya's mother, and the fact that the two of them would form such a strong bond made sense. That simple fiction, combined with his heroic intervention, had led to the Cove dwellers quickly accepting him as one of their own. All except for John. And there was some...
The groomer vibes are only getting stronger.
Oh, shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, when I was reading this, I told you, Mason, I was like, yeah.
I've had enough
like,
of you.
I was like, there's no way he's gonna be like, oh yeah, no, he's totally not grooming her. This is gonna make that worse.
That's just your opinion. So shut the fuck up.
I love how we fucking 30 minutes ago we were crying, laughing, and now we're at, oh, shut up. Like the most frustrated British, fuck you, shut up ever.
This is because I knew I knew that's where you'd be going, and I've been preparing myself, but it doesn't mean that it's not frustrating. Thing keen-eyed and perceptive about the broad-shouldered leader, an intelligence that his people did not possess. Although the initial deception had worked perfectly, over the last few months John's attitude towards Valdus had become increasingly glacial and aloof. There was a primal mistrust that Valdus suspected even John did not fully understand. The cunning theatrics designed to endear himself to the others and prevent John from ousting him had been the one distraction Valdus had been able to find, and without it, he would almost certainly have run out of patience months ago. The hushed murmuring of those in attendance halted abruptly as John took his place before them. The summer sun had darkened his weather-beaten skin, but the rich glow of his tan still failed to conceal his weary pallor. There was an anxious quality
His weary pallor
to his newly shortened curls, as though he had run his hand through them 1,000 times. His clothes were creased and unkempt, and there was dark circles beneath his eyes. In truth, it looked as though he had aged 10 years in the last 6 months, and Valdus struggled to conceal the amusement he felt at the shell of a man preparing to address this pitiful crowd. As you all know, our situation is dire, John rumbled gravely. Well, that's an understatement, an older man in the front row scoffed, before falling silent under the weight of John's belligerent stare.
How is that the situation is dire? That's literally saying like the situation is immediately dangerous to all of us. Like to a potentially extreme, like, how is that an understatement? If I was John, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. No, it isn't, you uneducated hick.
He didn't need to, he just looked at him. just gave him a stare of like, Cyril, be quiet. Yeah, that character goes unnamed, but I've just come up with his name right there. His name is Cyril.
Yeah, because he just seems like the kind of person that would be his name.
Yeah. It's so funny doing these videos.
Yeah.
because I'm like, that guy gets one line this whole chapter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there and I'm thinking, right, he's an older man. I need to do like an older man voice, and I'm just like, why are you spending so much time on this? He's never gonna speak again. But I want it to be right. I want it to sound like an older man. Mason, nobody cares, Mason.
It's like, but I care.
But I care.
Somebody.
Yeah, we have lost many people over these last few months, John continued, as though there had been no interruption. Most were killed during the raid. But it seems that this land has become dangerous. So far, 10 of us have been killed or gone missing, and a few have left voluntarily. I don't think that it's an exaggeration to say that if this continues, our community is in danger of falling apart.
Hey, Kate, how much you want to bet that Valis tracked down the people that left voluntarily?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Valdus mirrored the worried expression everybody else was wearing, but he felt a mounting sense of irritation. Too easy. This was far too easy. Could the loss of 10 and the departure of maybe half that number really be enough to bring this community to its knees? You know what I love about that? To him, it's just Valdus. Valdus makes me laugh because he's like, could the loss of 10 and the departure of maybe half that number be enough to bring this community to its knees? It's like, yeah, Valdus, it was more than 10. People died in the raid. Yes, but that doesn't count. He's just so, I don't even know what the word for it is, but it's just like he doesn't count them because they technically died like before he arrived.
Yeah.
Or as he arrived. He's like, yeah, but 10 have gone since I've been here.
I love this little thing that's on display where it's like Mason's characters talk to him in his head.
Not gonna deny that.
Yeah. I can't deny that about mine either.
It's just hard not to look into, like, when you're writing them, it's just hard not to like see things through their eyes. And it's like, I don't know. It's not even necessarily as you're writing it. It's when you read it back that you're like, oh yeah, he doesn't even count the people that died in the raid.
Yeah.
I guess that's just not how I think when I write characters, and it amuses me that is some people's process.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in your process. We'll have to talk about that at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Then, that in his small attempts to escape the clutches of his unrest, he may have brought the game to a natural conclusion without intending to. Perhaps he had been more active than he felt he had. Too easy. Why must it be so easy? John's face suddenly filled with emotion, and he bowed his head, taking a moment to gather himself before continuing. It is with a heavy heart I must tell you, we have lost another. This morning, I found Edmund just over an hour away. I will not speak of what I saw, but believe me when I say that some new evil stalks this land, and its brutality is almost enough to strike me dead. It's clear that we are all in danger, and I know that you look to me for answers, but I have none. I'm sorry, but I am lost, and it's as a community that we must decide what to do next. I don't believe this, one of the fishermen roared as he leapt to his feet. You're meant to be in charge, John. You're meant to protect us, and all you do is offer empty words. The gates are not enough. We need arming. We need to fight for what's ours. Arming against what? John asked quietly in reply. You know exactly what against, the fisherman hissed with a step towards John. I've told you my thoughts a dozen times, and yet you refuse to open your eyes and see what's plain to me. You've told me your thoughts a dozen times, John growled, and I've told you what I think of your suggestion. This is not the work of the Queen Regnant. We are far beyond the borders of the so-called settled lands, and even if she's expanding, why would she target our community specifically? Do you seriously think they've heard of these parts in Alborough? And do you really think they'd care if they had? Even if they did, why would they operate with stealth rather than sending a garrison to conscript us? We've all heard tales of the butcheries committed by her armies when she's seeking new territory. They do not hide in the shadows and pick people off quietly. If you can stand there with a straight face and tell me you think this is royal business, then you're an idiot, Thomas.
Oh man.
Oh, this is where if I was in this meeting, I probably would be trying to find a laugh, even though there's like maybe another 30 people in this community. At this rate, I'm likely to be dead within a month, and I still couldn't help but be like,
He just pulled your pants down, Thomas.
Right? Oh, he's like,
Albus
"Yes."
could hardly believe his ears. John had said Halbera. That was a name Valdus hadn't heard in a very long time, and it piqued his interest. So, as the two men continued their argument, he felt his mind begin to wander. A queen. The so-called settled lands. Fascinating. How long had it been since the reclamation was first proposed? In those days, Halbera had been nothing more than a dream, and a far-fetched, fanciful dream at that. There had been no more than 400 people, and they had been disorganized, prone to bickering amongst themselves. But perhaps Valdus had been wrong to dismiss their attempts at reclaiming what nature had taken as foolish. If a monarch was stationed there, with enough power and influence to conquer and claim foreign lands, then Halbera must have come far indeed. The concept of an entire city to play with was incredibly enticing. Humanity had existed in isolated pockets for so long that Valdus had almost forgotten the endless possibilities offered by a thriving metropolis.
oh god.
Greed, the corruption, the unbridled debauchery. It really had been too long. How could he possibly have allowed himself to become so distracted? How many years had he wasted living in the wilderness, playing petty, inconsequential games with naive and simple-minded peasants when there was an entire kingdom ready and waiting for his arrival? How many opportunities had he squandered? This is pointless!
Oh my god. The look we're getting into Valdus's mind is truly terrifying. Honestly, like, we know at this point that he's pure fucking evil, but this when you actually sit down and think about what he's thinking right now and what that implies, it scales his evil to a level to a new level, really, like a new level to it's a big expansion. Like we've gone from like we what we've come to is a global threat level evil. Like this is I'm serious. Like it is now implied that we are dealing with a force that would orchestrate the utter annihilation of everything if it so chose, without qualm.
What's interesting is that I agree with you, but I also disagree, because I think he would do it just up to the point, and then he'd stop. Because if he gets rid of everyone, there's no more playthings.
Right, exactly. There's no more choice.
By his own admission, sometimes he makes mistakes. So what if he set into place a chain of events that he couldn't stop?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. What I loved about that last bit is that he's like, kingdom? Like, you can basically see his ears pricking, like, kingdom? And then, like, the fact that he thinks of it as, like, it's ready and waiting for his arrival.
Right. Like, okay.
It's almost like there's groomer vibes.
Shut the fuck up. Also, as a side note, I'm currently eating the best donut I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh, fucking mid. What kind of donut is it?
I don't know. Lee just ordered. I think Lee was like, "Do you want something off Uber?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." And then she came in with this donut. So
Oh,
I think it's just from like this place that opened up in my town recently. And if
Okay,
it is, it's fucking amazing.
you can tell me if it's like jelly filled or chocolate.
Oh
or
no,
like,
it's like it's like like a ring donut, but it's like got the like all the filling on top and stuff.
mm.
so it's got like frosting and shit on there.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
some sort of creamy thing in the middle that I haven't bitten into yet.
Oh, so it's more like a God. What do they call those desserts? They're not called donuts. It's I think it's it's not Turkish. It's I think it's a Nordic dessert. It's a pastry with like a cream filling.
It's not in the middle. In the middle, it's like in if it was a ring donut, it's like in the bit where the ring would be.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing either way.
Yeah, it definitely sounds good. It definitely sounds good. Anyways,
Came an
I
angry
missed it.
voice from beside Veldus. Turning, he saw Arya standing with her fists clenched and a defiant expression upon her face. Well, well. Here at last was a pleasant surprise. Of all the people in attendance, Arya was the last person in the room Veldus would have expected an outburst from. Over the last few months, she had been timid and reserved, a convenient but ultimately vapid piece of the puzzle. The bond the two of them had formed had been a nice addition to the backstory Veldus had created, and the pathos it injected had only made it more believable. Proof, if any was needed, that empathy was a dangerous weakness that made people all too easy to exploit. Very few things took Veldus by surprise, and yet there was apparently some hidden substance to this girl that he had missed so far. What kind of leader are you? To not have the answers now when it actually matters. We need somewhere else to live before it's too late, and you know that, she stated in a quiet but confident voice that Veldus had never heard her use before. You're not wrong, Arya, John replied solemnly. I know I should have the answers, but I don't. And a true leader isn't afraid to admit when they don't know what to do. Now anyone who wishes to leave is welcome to. I won't stop you. But I will not abandon my home. Our home. I was born here and I will die here. I'll not be driven out by any evil. I know what my decision is. I won't stay here to die. What exactly would your plan be? John asked evenly. You know how to hunt? How to fish? How to prepare food? What would you do for warmth and shelter? How would you earn money to trade? I know it's not what you want to hear, but I promised your mother I'd look after you. When the day comes that I know you can provide for and protect yourself, you'll be free to go. But that day is not today, Arya. You might not understand that. You might even hate me for it, but I will keep my promise. Veldus watched with fascination as Arya, Sean Bean, with her nails digging into the palms of her tightly clenched fists. The room was silent, and it looked as though Arya was fighting an internal battle, as if she had something to say. But then she simply turned and walked purposefully past the rows of chairs towards the door. I hope one day you'll see I'm only trying to do what's right, John called as she walked away. For a fraction of a second she paused with her hand upon the doorframe, and it looked as though she was considering turning back. But then, with a small shake of her head, she continued out into the cove. Veldus got to his feet and followed. The rest of the meeting would consist of nothing but mindless fools squabbling amongst themselves like children. and to stay would be pointless. It was plain to see that nobody else was going to leave, not when John had given them multiple chances to do so over the last few months. That man was the biggest fool of them all, because he couldn't see that in their eyes all of their troubles were caused by his ineptitude. They needed something to blame, and he was the most logical choice. That was just human nature. Though,
Well,
Mm.
so here's where I disagree with the writing and with Valdez. Something that's being overlooked here is it's actually human nature to commonly blame the novel thing. So someone would absolutely be blaming Valdez.
yeah, you're probably right on that. He's just that good at acting.
He's so good at playing the part. He's overridden their instincts.
Well, yeah, I don't know. He's just been quiet and staying out the way and looking after Arya. You're probably right, though. I probably should have thought of that.
Or,
Well-
you know, I mean,
Go ahead, Kate.
well, I was just gonna say, like, with him being some kind of a supernatural character, you know, and being evil, a lot of the time there's precedent for them being able to semi-cloak themselves in a way where people know they're there, they just go unnoticed.
Yeah.
No, I think Zach's right. I probably should have had someone blame him, but I didn't, and I still like the way that it's gone. So
And
Mhm.
I'm not gonna.
I'm not saying it's like a fatal flaw. It's not. It doesn't rise to the level of plot hole or anything. I just think it's a logical thing that very easily could have been there. But there could also, you could go Caitlyn's route of making it there being a justification. You could explain some other justification potentially. So like it's not a plot hole level thing. It's just like, here's how I think this should have. Yeah, I'll say should have. Here's how I think it should have been done. So.
Yeah, I'm never going to be able to write it and have no flaws whatsoever. So I'm willing to admit that was probably an oversight. I think it's just it's just how I see things. It's that I'm like, people are most likely to blame the person that's supposed to be keeping their shit together.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that, yeah. If it was depending on the situation, I'd agree with you. I just think because the exact details of this situation, the blame would be shifted because of how the human psyche works. But I understand your thought process.
And also the fact that, you know, they are in sort of kind of pseudo time period that they're in, and it being a small fishing village, any kind of like a new addition, their superstition would somewhat get the better of them, in the sense that you're out of place. Are you the reason why we have all this bad luck?
Yeah, I that's fair enough. In my head, it was just that, like, riding in and saving the day just endeared him to them so much that he just didn't. But the good thing about writing Bleeding Ground, the way that I'm doing it, is that basically I can fix that somewhere down the line. Like, if I want to go down Kate's route, I can easily write in some sort of justification of, like, oh, I can use my powers of, like, cloaking myself.
Yeah.
Well, when she's cloaking, she means like an aura, cloaked in an aura of influence. Like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Those who remained were more likely to slit his throat and seize control, rather than give up their comfortable lives and risk the unknown wilderness. Arya barely spared him a glance as he fell into step beside her, and together the two of them walked slowly down to the cove's rocky shore. The air was thick and humid, with ominous storm clouds gathering on the horizon.
Tell you something else that's thick and humid.
Like an army preparing for an onslaught against its enemy, as they stood staring out over the ocean. Silence filled with anticipation I just also love that line, so I just wanted to wait until after the line. I love how Valdus is so violent in his mind that even like a storm front is like, oh, it's like an army gathering on the horizon.
Right.
I actually
Valdus is
hear that.
incapable of thinking in non-violent metaphors. The air was thick and humid, with ominous storm clouds gathering on the horizon, like an army preparing for its final onslaught against its enemy, as they stood staring out over the ocean. A silence filled with anticipation.
And another thing that I just feel compelled to mention is that's a very Sun Tzu metaphor. I know you didn't know that when you wrote it, but that's very Sun Tzu of you, or him, or Val.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is.
Patient hung between them. Valdus could see the cogs of the girl's mind turning, as she chewed her lip anxiously and shuffled her feet, waiting for whatever it was he had to say. Would he admonish or validate her outburst? It was interesting to see that she cared so much what he thought, when she had stood against John so defiantly. "I'm proud of you," he said simply, and the girl smiled as a light breeze blew her auburn hair away from her face. "I thought you might be mad," she replied quietly, and Valdus offered her a warm smile of his own. "No, Aria, I'm not mad. He paused, as if in hesitation, as though he wasn't quite sure whether or not to say what was on his mind. "I'm sure John is a good man, who wants the best for his people. I also think he's lost his way. The Cove is sheltered and isolated, but simply building gates isn't enough to protect us from a world that becomes ever more dangerous. Communities like this are always in danger from people who do not share their values or want what they have. We can't just lock the gates and expect the outside world to leave us be. In fact, the very existence of the gates advertises that there is something of value behind them."
That last thing you said is a good point too, but I wanted to stop the video specifically to point out the subtle manipulation that he's already saying we. He's been there 6 months, but it's already we.
Hey, do you know how hard it is to fucking record Valdus doing this big, long speech as Valdus? How much water I have to drink while I'm recording My mouth gets so dry.
He's like, so dry.
My mouth is like this.
My mouth is like a desert. My hands are like sandstone.
That must make wiping difficult. Yes, mate. Only if he does it with his bare hands. What the fuck?
Well, I was gonna what I was going to say that reminds me of something I say all the time. Like whenever I'm forced to use a bathroom, and that's just the proprietors of said bathroom are cheapskates, and they just got the real low quality toilet paper in there. I always refer to that as rectal sandpaper.
I'm going to do that too now.
Nice.
A safe place in times gone by, but some evil has clearly come here, and I don't feel safe. If I could, I would choose to leave, because finding a new place to live is the smartest move, but John is too stubborn to see that. Arya, you can see what he cannot, and it showed great bravery and strength of will to stand up for what you know is right, and that is why I am proud of you. If your parents were here, I'm sure they would feel the same way.
Oh my god, he hit her with
Then
the
you
parents.
should leave before it's too late, Arya replied despondently, as she sent a stone skimming into the ocean. Valdez cast his eyes back towards the horizon and the gathering storm clouds. "It's not as simple as that," he said, before skimming a stone of his own. "How could I leave in good conscience, knowing that nobody here would keep you safe? I failed my family, Arya. I wasn't there to protect them, and I don't want to fail again."
Oh my god, what a fucking monster!
There was a long silence then, filled only by the rhythmic ambience of the ocean and a soft plip, 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 as they took turns sending their stones dancing across the water's surface until they disappeared into the murky depths below. Valdez watched as a kaleidoscope of emotions cycled its way across Arya's face. Peaceful reservation, giving way to a sadness that built through irritation to a crescendo of bitter resentment before morphing into an uncontainable rage. Finally, she hurled a stone with all her might before releasing a guttural scream and falling to her knees. "I miss them both," she whimpered, as she stared up at Velda.
That just sounds like that voice just sounds like 12-year-old Mason to me.
Listen, right? It's fucking hard trying to do a 14-year-old girl voice, okay? It's fucking hard. Don't you give me shit, because it's really fucking hard. Do you know how long I sat here for in my recording chair going, "I miss them both, I miss them both, I miss them both, I miss them both."
Listen, milady, I would never deign to give you grief over your voice acting.
Oh my god.
This with a heartbroken expression before furiously swiping her tears away. "I miss them, and I love them, but I hate them too. I hate them for dying. I hate those men for killing my mum, and I hate myself for being too small and weak to help.
Really quick, I just want to get this out before I forget it, or before it does or doesn't come to fruition, in case it is going to happen in the next 20 minutes. Where I would take this is, Valdez would say, "You know what? That empire's over there, but I'm not done here. I'm just going to take her with me to this empire and see how long I can have her, like, by my side without her figuring out that I'm a mass murderer as a fun little game with myself." That's how I would.
You're a sick fuck.
That's because I'm a sick fuck.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be what he's going to do now, Kate.
I'm not going to say anything.
Hate John for not having the answers, not being able to protect us. I feel. Sometimes I'm afraid of everything. I'm even afraid of myself. But the way that I feel inside, and I don't know what to do. Listen
She
to
doesn't
me,
know what to do,
Valdez
guys.
told her as he knelt and put his hand upon her shoulder. What you are feeling is natural.
Groomer vibes!
It is a tempest that rips through us. It carries away everything that is beautiful and good. It destroys our foundations and leaves behind only the wreckage of the life that we once lived. We can rebuild ourselves from the debris, but we can never put the pieces back exactly as they were. You will get through this, Arya. I will make sure of that. And when we're done rebuilding you, I promise you will feel stronger than you did before. I told you that you can see what John cannot, and so can I, because he is short-sighted and we are not. Where he can only see a helpless child, I see somebody with potential.
Oh my god, it just keeps getting worse!
I love how that whole bit about grief from any other character, that'd be such a lovely, beautiful, profound little speech.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yep. Just. Yep.
You could be the leader of your own community, Arya. I can teach you how to survive, how to protect yourself,
Oh
and
my
make
god.
sure the world never takes anything you're not willing to give. How to wield authority and command respect. With my guidance, you will never need to feel afraid again.
Oh, that nice. Oh, the sound design there. Oh,
Yeah.
that was good.
I love that.
That was so
Brilliant.
good. Timed perfectly. The perfect little Mason. How you are not like working in sound design for major motion pictures is beyond me.
Honestly, Lee gets a lot of the credit as well. Like, I go and find the tracks, she makes it work.
Okay, but like, okay, fine. So the two of you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I really appreciate it. I just wanted to give Lee her credit because she really fucking deserves it. This took hours today. I'm not kidding. It took from like 20 past 1 till about 4 o'clock.
Oh wow.
But yeah, that bit, I really loved that bit. To be honest, I loved that whole scene. I loved the excuse me. I loved the ocean and the music, because I love that, like, we know that this is a dark scene, but the music is still emotional because, you know, if this was a TV show and we were watching it from Arya's point of view, it would be an emotional scene. And it's just almost like the music plays along.
Yep. Yeah. Oh god, it's just bloody brilliant, Mason. It's just bloody fucking brilliant.
Thank you very much. Taking a moment.
I'm sorry. I hit play right as you said something. Did you say thank you?
I said thanks very much.
Oh yes.
To quietly process what he'd said, Arya offered a nod of approval, and seeing that the tears were gone now, replaced by an expression of staunch determination, Valdus smiled in return. This was good. As the dark shadow on the horizon crept ever closer, swallowing the sky and obscuring the warm glow of the sun, a plan was crystallizing in his mind, and he knew exactly what he needed to do. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a figure disappear, moving past the weather-worn houses and back into the cove. Things were finally getting interesting. It was 3 hours later, as Valdus was making his way to the communal hall for the evening meal, that John finally confronted him. Valdus laughed inwardly at the sight of this weary-looking fool, leaning against a wall, desperately trying to project an air of confidence and authority as he raised an open palm to signal that Valdus should halt his approach. In a way, it was surprising that this hadn't happened earlier, but by waiting until now, John had ensured that there would be no witnesses to what was about to transpire. It was a relatively clever move, but the bravado he was attempting to muster was still hilariously ineffective, and it was with a snide sense of glee that Valdus noted he looked even more haggard than he had during that morning's meeting. "I want you gone," John growled as he drew closer. "I had a feeling you were going to say that," Valdus replied. "I don't like you, and I don't trust you. Now, I was grateful for your actions on the night you arrived, and I still am, but that doesn't change the fact that you don't belong here. I know you must miss your family, but you can't turn Arya into a surrogate daughter. It's not right. I was raised to trust my instincts, and they're telling me you're no good for that girl, so I want you gone."
It's just hilarious to me. It's just fucking hilarious to me that he wants him gone, but for the totally wrong reasons.
You're so close, John. You're so
Right.
close. But you're not quite there, mate.
Oh god, and it's not even the wrong reasons. It's just like your suspicions are aimed at him, but like just for the wrong reason, or not all of the right reasons. And another thing, so here, and this is something else that I find interesting when you're looking at the greater context of the story. When you look at like time periods like this, so this is like whatever actual human year it is. This is clearly reminiscent of the time periods where girls used to get married at this age. So John probably has some very explicit ideas of what Valdis's interest in that girl is.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably.
Oh man.
Although, if it is set in the far future, then they probably have a different idea of childhood, just because it will have been informed by, like our time period.
Potentially, we don't
Potentially.
know. And you're the author, that you might set it up that way, but yeah, it depends on how much history was lost and how much nonsense happened with human culture. Because you got to remember that our present day morals are formed from a very long period of sociological evolution. And the reason that girls used to get married at 14 is because, well, they could breed at that point, and humans don't live very long, so get to pumping them out, woman.
Right, yeah. They were like, you're going to die at 37.
Have children quickly.
Yeah.
That was the thought process. So yeah, it really just depends on how much of our culture and principles and all that shit managed to drift with us. Which is always...
it is just interesting though that he's like so close, but just so far away at the same time. Like he knows that he's no good, but he just doesn't quite know why.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. It's very good. And I love thinking about just going back to the thing we were just on. I just love thinking about how cultural drift happens in scenarios like that. Like, humans apparently almost went extinct this last time around that Valdis is referencing. So it just depends on the exact process that went through and what bits of culture would survive.
Mhm.
So good.
Okay, Valdis replied simply, feeling a smug sense of satisfaction at John's double take. You're right, John. I don't belong here. I recognize a good man when I see one, and I know you want what's best for your people. I've acted selfishly and irresponsibly trying to replace my grace with Arya. It isn't fair on either girl. So when the storm passes, I'll slip out quietly and leave this place behind. John fixed him with a long, searching look before nodding solemnly and turning to walk away. After taking a few steps, he turned back. Are you coming? He asked. I don't think that's a good idea. I think I should keep my distance from Arya. I'm going to get my things ready for travel so I can leave before she notices. I can't bear to say goodbye, John. I know that she'll hate me, but it's for the best. You're doing the right thing, John said softly, before turning on his heel and walking quickly in the direction of the communal building. Valdis stood with his head bowed until he was sure the other man had gone, and then he turned, smiled to himself, and began walking in the opposite direction to get the things he needed.
Oh my god.
Night had fallen by the time the deluge began.
He would just have to find where there was some lubrication.
Fuck you.
Oh.
I love that. Just instantly went to fuck you. Just
The cove was empty and silent, with its inhabitants huddled indoors for warmth and shelter. Wind whipped around the houses, howling its melancholy chorus into the darkness, and the ocean had become a frenzied beast that savaged the coast with unrelenting ferocity.
Good line.
Booming thunder rolled over the landscape menacingly, and lightning blazed across the sky as John lay upon his bed in the clutches of some unknown terror. The world around him was distorted and hazy, as though objects had somehow started to lose their tangibility and were now melting into one another. Every breath was laboured. Searing pain ripped repeatedly through his abdomen. It felt like there was fire raging through his veins, and the pounding of his heart only amplified its intensity.
New headcanon. Valdis Doyle is actually it.
That would maybe work if I'd read it.
Oh, well, I mean, it would make sense considering the fact that he's, some kind of supernatural, possibly primordial being, and so was it. So, I mean, they may not necessarily be identical, but they're related.
Yeah, similar in nature.
Same species.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it's like just because I mean, Caitlin, think about it. Does that not sound exactly like?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he just grew up a little bit and changed his preferences on how he likes to hurt people.
Yeah.
With life, John had never felt so helpless and afraid. There was nothing he could do to stop whatever was happening to him. Movement was almost impossible, and even if he could find the strength to cry out for help, who would hear him over the storm? Death was approaching. He could feel it, creeping insidiously towards him, coming to
Insidiously
claim his soul. Time was unraveling. Consciousness was elusive. John couldn't...
Stop.
I hate you so very much. I'm sat there like, oh yes, I fucking love this bit. Like, the writing I'm really proud of, the delivery I'm really proud of, and Zack's just like, unraveling. Like, oh, fine. I'll never try hard again. Like handing a work to your teacher and they just go... And it was at that moment that Jimmy decided he was going to become a drug dealer.
Oh no.
Not little Jimmy. No.
Anyone but little Jimmy.
Not little Jimmy.
Not little Jimmy.
He never had a chance after his mama got back on the crack.
And his teacher laughed at his English homework.
Like, oh no.
Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay.
Even begin to storm.
Woo-hoo.
Death was approaching. He could feel it, creeping insidiously towards him, coming to claim his soul. Time was unraveling. Consciousness was elusive. John couldn't even begin to imagine how long he'd been lying there, fighting the irresistible urge to just let go, to drift, to be at peace. It was with a dim shred of hope that he heard the door creak open as somebody entered the room. But something wasn't right. There was no cry of alarm and no urgency to their approach. Instead, their steps were slow and purposeful, as they made their way across the room before taking a seat on the bed beside him. Focus, John. I know it's hard, but you have to try. It isn't time to leave yet. A familiar voice whispered softly in his ear.
Oh God!
Feeling like he was wading back through deep water, John struggled to comply. But with a great effort, he finally forced his eyes to open. The room was a swirl of dancing shadows, as warm light grappled with the encroaching darkness.
Oh, that is such a good line.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good. As light grappled with the encroaching darkness. Fuck,
Yes.
Thank you very much. I, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I'm proud of this entire section. Like, just wait. This entire section, man, is like some of the best. Like some of my favorite stuff that I've written. I really
The
like
prose
all
are
it.
so good.
A figure loomed above him, and as he caught sight of them, they leaned closer. The face of Valdus Doyle slowly came into focus, a devilish grin illuminating his features. I had to come and say goodbye. Well,
Okay, really quick. I like the devilish grin illuminating his features. That just makes me picture like this cartoonishly evil face lit up by like candlelight from the bottom.
yeah, he's holding a torch beneath his face.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just because he's like, yes, I finally get to be myself for a bit.
I could just picture like in the back of Valdus's, like deep in his subconscious, like there's just a nonstop fucking rendition of "I do it all because I'm evil."
Features. I had to come and say goodbye, Valdus told him softly. Oblivion awaits your arrival, but it can wait a little longer.
Oh, that's another good line. Oblivion awaits your arrival. That's a good one too.
Yeah. I'm not done with you yet.
Oh God.
Keeping his cold eyes fixed on John's, Valdus watched as the dying man desperately struggled to form words. Oh, John, you poor fool, Valdus cooed mockingly.
Oh God.
You must be so confused, so afraid. Not to worry, I'm here now and I can help clear things up. I confess, this isn't usually how I like to do things. I prefer something more visceral. But after our little discussion earlier, I decided it was for the best. I'm afraid I lied, John. I know it's a bad habit. But when you left me, I didn't go and quietly pack my things as I said I would. No. Instead, I let myself in here and I left something in this. With a derisive laugh, Valdus held up an empty wine bottle for John to see, before tucking it beneath his cloak. Perhaps if you were accustomed to drinking anything that didn't taste foul to start with, you might have noticed, but clearly you didn't. I wasn't expecting you to drink the entire thing, but considering the stress you've been under recently, it's hardly surprising. Such a cliche, John. You're not the first man to hit the bottle in an attempt to hide from his troubles, and you won't be the last. John choked and spluttered as he fought with every fibre of his being to do something.
Oh my God, this is just like hang on. I need to hear that line from Valdus again.
And you won't be the last. John choked and spluttered as he fought.
Hang on.
Surprising. Such a cliche, John.
I love how he's like his like the mockery. The mocker, it's like, really, John? This is how you die? Right. This is what gets you? The same thing that's gotten so many tens of billions of you monkeys? I can't fucking believe it was this easy, John. But what would I expect from the head of a fishing village?
Yeah, exactly. He just unpacks all the subtext there. Oh, I love it so fucking much, man. I'm not gonna lie, I relished delivering that line. Yeah. Such a cliche, John.
Yeah, but I like the slight hint of disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Mason, when we're rapping, you're my hype man. But in literature, I can hype man for you. It's good.
Thank you ever so much. You're not the first man to hit the bottle in an attempt to hide from his troubles, and you won't be the last. John choked and spluttered as he fought with every fibre of his being to do something. To move, to lash out, to scream. But it was useless. His body was entirely outside of his control. Valdus watched as blood trickled from the wretched man's lips and could not contain his glee. You're a man of convictions, aren't you, John? I could see that from the start. You're a good man. But do you know the problem with good men? They expect evil to arrive cloaked in darkness and plain to see. They never recognize the evil that shakes their hand with a smile.
Yep.
Valdus.
That is such a good line because that is so universally true. And that is something that so few people, even people who are just like neutral in terms of morality, or even other evil people sometimes, so few people understand that all of the worst evil always looks at you with a smile on its face and a laugh in its voice. That is always the worst fucking ones.
In terms of doing that little bit, then it's really stupid. Like, but do you know how hard it is to make Valdus sound happy? He could not contain his glee. Right now, I have to figure out how he sounds when he's gleeful.
Right.
But then I also love that. I love that like dip as well. And he's like, "You're a good man, but do you know the problem with good men?"
Yeah.
Leaned back with a snide chuckle, and as he did so, the shadows about the two men deepened and pushed forward. The lantern light danced as though buffeted by a strong wind. It spluttered, was almost extinguished, but somehow it endured. Its now feeble glow barely pierced the darkness surrounding it, and with a terrible certainty John knew that it could not persist for much longer. The man beside him, if he was a man at all, placed a hand gently upon his cheek, and John felt an intense heat radiate from the point of contact. It spread quickly over his entire body until it felt like flames were licking at his skin, and still his scream of anguish would not come. You looked me in the eye and you didn't see it. You welcomed me with open arms and sealed your fate, Valdus hissed disdainfully. You were blinded by your gratitude when I rode to the rescue of your pathetic little settlement, as I knew you would be when I orchestrated the attack. Predictable. Men like you are so predictable. I did, however, make a rare miscalculation when we first met, and I'll admit that. I assumed you would be a worthy adversary, but you didn't. You're more perceptive than the others, I'll give you credit for that. You never fully trusted me, but you still couldn't put the pieces together, still couldn't see the bigger picture, even as I butchered your people one by one. You never suspected me, and it...
God, this is the best villain monologue I've heard in maybe ever. It's like, God. It's just because it's so believable. Like Valdus, because of all the setup that's gone into Valdus, it's like we know that right now this is basically an orgasm for him.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like
this
it's
is the most
so
fun he's had in it.
Right.
You should rewind that secret, because this line just builds. So I think you should just rewind it just a little bit so you can get the full build. And the others, I'll give you credit for that. You never fully trusted me, but you still couldn't put the pieces together, still couldn't see the bigger picture, even as I butchered your people one by one. You never suspected me, and it was easy. I brought your community to its knees without even trying, simply by attempting to keep myself entertained. I don't even know their names. The people that I took from you. I don't even know their names. But it doesn't matter because they're gone. And you will join them soon enough. Convulsions tore through John's body with terrifying force. The metallic taste of blood filled his mouth, and his entire existence was pain, but he still heard every word. Somehow they pierced the fog that filled his mind, and that was the worst thing of all. A terrible mistake. He had made a terrible, unforgivable mistake, and although he felt he deserved punishment for allowing somebody so grotesque to live amongst them, he didn't want to leave his people to the whims of this vile creature. There must be something he could do, some way to fight this. It couldn't end this way, not when his people were in such grave danger. Valdus leaned forward, so his face was just inches from John's, and his smile was cold and cruel, filled with joy, and yet devoid of any warmth, with not a trace of pity to be found. I'm so sorry, you'll have to speak up. I can't quite hear what you're trying to say.
It's so unbearably evil.
He has a little joke in a second as well after that.
Oh my God.
With not a trace of pity to be found. I'm so sorry, you'll have to speak up. I can't quite hear what you're trying to say. Perhaps it's my old age, he taunted, with his ear to the dying man's lips. After a moment, he pulled away and straightened up, before giving John's shoulder a mocking imitation of a comforting squeeze. It won't be long now. You can go soon, off to join your fallen friends. You needn't worry about your people. They're of no consequence to me as long as they behave themselves. I'll be leaving in the morning with dear Arya.
I called it! I called it! I called it!
Interesting girl she's turning out to be. I'm afraid I misjudged her the same way I misjudged you. I dismissed her as a simple-minded fool too soon. Gave you too much credit and her too little. I thought she would never amount to anything, but once again, I was wrong. It happens when you live as long as I have. There's darkness in that girl, John. It's lurking just beneath the surface, but I can bring it to the fore. She's balancing on a knife's edge, and all I need to do is give her one little push in the right direction. With you, her life would have been meaningless, but I will unlock her potential, and she will thank me for it. Before long.
But the angle is different. I called him taking her, but the angle of it was totally different. I see it though. Yeah. And let me just say, groomer.
Yeah, 100%. Just not a sexual one.
Like, yeah, it's like, oh man, I was right all along, just in a slightly different way that I was implying.
This place, and the girl she once was, will be nothing but a distant memory. This could not happen. John strained with all his might to fight against the weight pulling him down, 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 into death's waiting embrace. How could it end? People not safe. Arya not safe. Too soon. Not ready. Not ready. Not. Valdus released a long sigh of contentment as he watched John lose the battle little by little, until he slipped into oblivion and fought no more. Usually, poison was his least favourite tool. It was rather impersonal. but experience had taught him it was always better to keep a few things handy for the right occasion, and it had been fun to remove his mask for a while and allow John to see his true self, to send him on his way with the knowledge of what a fool he'd been and what exactly he was leaving behind. In an ideal world, he could have sat and savoured that glorious silence for hours, but it wasn't worth the risk. If the storm caused any unforeseen problems for which John was needed, somebody could come barging in and ruin everything. And so he allowed himself a few quiet moments before extinguishing the lantern, replacing the empty wine bottle with a fresh one, and striding over to the door, out into the night without a backwards glance. A barrage of wind. Before we move on to the next scene, can I just say, right? You know I don't like bigging myself up too much. I fucking love what I did with the lantern in that scene as a metaphor for John's life. Okay?
Damn, I didn't even catch that, but yep, you're right. That's good.
Like the fact that and another thing I really loved along the same lines is that whole bit, right, where Valdis is like, you never recognize the evil that shakes your hand with a smile, and then he does. There's the whole bit where he leans back and the shadows push forward and the flame is buffeted and it grows weak and it barely pierces the darkness around it, and John knows that it can't persist for much longer, just like his life. That, to me, that scene was something that I really loved because there's the ambiguity there, right? Because John's being poisoned, so he's tripping out. So that could just be a trick of his mind. But it could also be the fact that Valdis could actually have been making the shadows deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was thinking about that too. I was like, is this... And that's not it. There's another layer to it. It could have been the poison. It could have been hallucinogenic poison. It could be Valdis was actually physically manipulating the light, or he was manipulating John's mind.
Yep, and I just love that I didn't answer that, but yeah, the whole metaphor of the flame being like John's life, and then Valdis fucking extinguishing it just after John's died, just extinguishing it and just walking out of the door. I just love it. I love it. After I wrote it, I was like, damn, I'm proud of that.
It's good. It's good. It's pretty fucking good, kid. No doubt about it. Yeah.
Rain thrashed at him as he moved his way carefully through the cove. With this weather, at this time of night, detection was unlikely, but the plan was so close to completion that he was unwilling to compromise it in any way. It took almost 10 minutes to make his way to the eastern gate, which he unlocked hastily before tossing the key into the riotous chaos of the ocean, never to be seen again. Smashing the lock with the butt of his knife was much too easy. Pathetic. Did they really think such a hastily built gate could keep out any serious threat? A mildly enraged child could have broken their way through. Resisting the urge to hurry, he made his way back to the ramshackle house that he shared with Arya, and once he was sure he hadn't been seen, he burst his way through the door and ran to Arya's bedroom.
But why would John, if he felt this way about Valdis, why would John be allowing him to live in the same building as her?
Well, because it hadn't really been a thing until, Arya stood up to him and stormed out of the building, and then Valdis went after her, and then John went down to the beach and saw them, having that little moment.
Yeah.
Wake up, Arya! He cried happily, before giving her shoulder an excitable shake. The girl rolled over, rubbing her bleary eyes as she looked up at him. What's going on? Why are you wet? She asked, but Valdis just offered her a playful smile in return. I've just been out there, he said with a jerk of his thumb. I couldn't sleep, but that's not the important part. The storm is beautiful. Come and see. A few minutes later, the two of them ran, lapping through the rain down towards the ocean. Arya beamed as she drank in the view of the land.
I'm just imagining Valdis going hand in hand with this young girl skipping through the fucking rain after he's murdered the closest thing she had to a father after hers died. It's just, oh, God.
Such a dick.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Landscape. Lightning flare.
And of course, and the author's response to my pointing that scene out is, "Yep, he's such a dick."
Thunder rolled, wind lashed rain into her face, and still she beamed. The ocean stretched endlessly into the horizon, and its majestic, untempered beauty took her breath away. "It's amazing!" she yelled happily. "I know!" Valdis bellowed in response. Arya twirled, opening her arms as she gazed up at the sky. The clouds seemed endless, as if this storm were blanketing the entire world, and she wondered how many people were doing the exact same thing as she was at this very moment. Surely she, along with Valdis, could not be the only two people seeking beauty in such conditions. Depending on what a storm signified to them, there would be people praying to their gods in both appreciation and fear, collecting fresh water after a drought, happy families splashing one another. It was incredible that the world could muster such dangerous beauty. It was as she lowered her eyes to scan her surroundings that she saw it, and she was suddenly gripped by an uncontainable fear. The eastern gate was swinging wildly in the wind. The gate was open. "Valdis! Over there!" she screamed as she gestured urgently towards the gate. She saw his brow furrow in concern, and the bubbling joy she'd been feeling just seconds before was gone. Turning on her heel, she sprinted back up the beach, almost slipping on the sodden pebbles, but she didn't care. Somebody had to raise the alarm. Either the storm had broken the gate which left them exposed, or something much worse had happened. The door to John's cabin smashed into the wall as Arya burst her way in, but she could instantly tell that something was wrong. Terribly wrong. The air was too still, too silent. "John?" she whispered into the darkness, but there was no reply. Moving cautiously over to the bed, she froze when she caught sight of him. John lay with his body twisted in an unnatural position, blood drying upon his chin, mouth open in a silent scream, and a pained expression etched upon his face. Arya fell to her knees as Valdis came in behind her. "My God," he said quietly, as he took in the scene before him. Over to pull her away, he crouched down to meet Arya's gaze. "Don't look, Arya, don't look. It's okay," he said. But she began to scream, and pushing him aside, she ran back out into the rain, where she steadied herself against the wall of the cabin, retched, and then vomited. Valdis placed a hand softly upon her shoulder. "He's dead," she spluttered without looking up.
No shit, Sherlock.
Right.
"We have to warn the others," he said urgently, and Arya nodded as she straightened up. Without another word, they began to move through the cove, and one by one they woke the others to tell them what they'd found. To the great amusement of Valdis, many people refused to even set foot in John's cabin. In the end, things had worked out even better than he expected. Most of the remaining 30 residents felt that this must be the result of some sort of curse. They must have angered the gods in some sort of way, and now they were being punished. Although a few suspected a version of the truth, nobody pointed a finger in his direction. The bonds of trust were completely broken, and they spent the next few hours screaming accusations at one another, deliberating what to do next, and lamenting the loss of their great leader. The fact a number of them had been cursing his name less than 24 hours ago was completely forgotten. They all loved him dearly. This was an unimaginable loss. So on and so forth. Blah, blah, blah. It was all very boring, and Valdis wished he could just skip ahead to the resolution so that he could stop pretending to care. By the time morning arrived, the storm had calmed to a light drizzle, and everything fell neatly into place. A few people wished to stay, but the majority chose to leave, and it was clear that by the end of the day the cove would be almost deserted. Nobody spared a thought for poor Arya. They were all too concerned with saving their own skin, and Valdus watched as she looked on, heartbroken. Eventually, the communal hall was empty except for the two of them. "I'm so sorry for all that you've lost," he said gravely. "Yesterday you said you wanted to find somewhere new to live. If that's still what you want, I believe we should head northeast and make a new life for ourselves in Helborough." "Yes, we should," she replied with a small nod, keeping her eyes downcast. "This place holds nothing but sadness and death. I can't bear to be here for even one more day." "Well then, let's collect our things and move quickly. If we leave by noon, we can cover a few miles and put this place behind us before nightfall. This will be a hard journey, Arya. Uncomfortable. Food will be scarce. We will have to travel through harsh lands. I say this not to scare you, but to prepare you." Taking a deep breath, she raised her head to meet his gaze, and he saw it there. The steel-edged determination, a hint of frozen ground beneath the snow. "I'm ready," she said simply, before rising to her feet, and with her head held high she walked out of the hall in the direction of their cabin. In the end, they took only enough food for a few days, a tent, and some warm clothes for when the seasons changed. It was all they needed. Arya moved with a cold precision, making the conscious choice to leave behind all her belongings, except for a locket passed down by her mother. This was a new start, and she wanted to be reminded of her life here as little as possible. Valdus felt that this was the start of a new long game with all kinds of possibilities. An apprentice was something he hadn't bothered with for a long time, but there was something about Arya that spoke to him on an instinctual level. Kin, recognizing kin. When all was said and done, he would transform this once timid girl into somebody proud and strong, somebody powerful. The air was unseasonably cold as the two of them stepped out of the eastern gate an hour before noon. Arya kept her gaze fixed ahead of her as she strode forward with purpose, refusing to look back, determined to leave it all behind. If she could, she would have stood upon the cliffs overlooking the cove and watched as it all turned to dust. Whether or not they had angered the gods and they were being punished for some unknown crime, that place was cursed and haunted by the ghosts of all the people she had once loved. Were they still out there somewhere? Did they still exist on some distant plane that she too would one day reach? In her heart, Arya did not believe that they did, and so she put one foot in front of the other until the horizon swallowed all traces of her past. What lay ahead she did not know, but whatever it was, she promised herself that she would be ready for it. The world would never again take anything that she wasn't willing to give.
Oh man, okay. There's something that's just an overall there's something that this chapter has established and built that was a factor before, but this chapter has really hammered it home. And I'm not sure if you're doing this intentionally or if it's just how it's boiled out, but you let me know. The parallelism that's being established between the protagonist and the antagonist, the parallel actions, the parallel events, and the fact that they are so exquisitely foils of one another. One is the young, inexperienced in comparison, but the young, stoic, very straightforward, morally good hero. And the other one is ancient, conniving, plotting, and and somewhat noble evil, like this air of nobility and poshness. One is just this village boy, just a hard-working fucking shoulder to the wheel type leader, and the other one is this fucking just this fucking the definition of like just like those fucking nobles that are ruling the fucking land and driving it into the ground, but they don't give a fuck as long as their cake is hot and on their table at the right time. Just and the fact that these characters are running on this parallel course, and eventually we know they're gonna have to intersect. And it's good. Man, it's absolutely fucking tastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Honestly, just hearing you say all of that is just like so validating. I 100% wanted to draw the parallels between them. But that was definitely something that I had in my mind of like, they couldn't be more different, but in a way they also have their similarities.
Right.
And yeah, and like, you know, them leaving there and Evander needing to leave Huxley and just, yeah, I totally set out to do that on purpose. So it really means a lot to me that shines through.
Oh, it's I absolutely love it. One of my absolute favorite things in storytelling is when the villain and the hero are good foils of each other. And it's not something that I was able to do a whole lot with Dolge's external villains. With his internal villain, I have that established, but I wasn't really able to fit it in with any of my external villains, even though I would really like to, because it gives ego, it gives persona to the everlasting conflict between good and evil. And it shows how they interlock and counterbalance and always struggle with each other. And when that struggle is given persona, that's the shit epics are made of. It's really compelling. And I love the fact, and it's almost like it's very common in video games where you see the hero progressing through this process. It's also very common in anime. You see this hero progressing through this series of challenges while the villain is simultaneously, but they're usually not challenges. They're usually cakewalks for the villain, because evil can just do whatever the fuck it wants to attain its means, while good has to take the righteous path, which is always harder. And but inevitably they intersect, and it, God,
Yeah, I love that, like, that chapter, like, that established as well that, like, he wants Evander to find him at some point, because he wants to tie up that loose end. And I did that because I didn't want it to seem like Valdus was like, oh, I'm just going to go and hide from this farm boy, because why would he?
Right.
So I really wanted to do something, and that one line of, like, you know, hoping that he's out there seeking revenge, and that one day they'll meet again so he can tie up that loose end.
Yeah.
And that was really important for me to put in. And same with, like, like, even though Evander's not there, he still has to throw, like, jabs at him as well, like with the, I failed my family, Arya. I wasn't there to protect them. And it's like, yeah, you're totally taking a jab at Evander there, aren't you, Valdus?
Right.
Well, I actually didn't read it that way. That just read like a standard course that deception would take. But I mean, that could just be a little inside joke with the character. That character is definitely that's definitely his idea of humor.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I'm sorry, you'll have to speak up. I can't quite hear what you're trying to say. Perhaps it's my old age. That's one of my favorite lines.
Oh, is that what he said? I misheard that line. I didn't hear the second part of that properly. Damn, that's good.
That chapter was, I mean, it was quite a challenge, and it went through quite a few different iterations, because I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do with Arya.
Mhm.
And I was sitting there, and I was trying to figure it out, and initially, like, even though she did anyway, initially she was just going to be completely duped, and even though she was anyway, when I realized that what I wanted to do was have him, because I was sitting there and I was thinking, why would he be interested in this girl? Like,
Mhm.
why he is Valdis.
Right.
Why would he be interested in this insignificant teenage girl? And
Mhm.
like, when I stumbled across the realization that, oh, if I like do this, he can like see that there's like this darkness in her that he can bring out. And that really made that properly made Arya like come to the fore of my mind then, of like, I know what I want to do with this. Especially now that I have a roadmap of where I want to go for the next few chapters. Like, I've figured out a bit of an arc that I want to take. And it was, I really liked the opportunity that I got to do some world building in that as well, of like,
Yeah.
you know, these people being, you know, outside of the borders of the settled lands, but also, you know, being close enough that they know who the Queen Regnant is, and knowing what Halborough is, and you know, the idea that Valdis knows what Halborough is, and he hasn't been there since before it was even like a proper, you know, before the reclamation took place.
Yeah.
And I just had so much fun with that chapter. Like, it was just,
It shined through.
yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I know. I could tell, like, listening to it, I could tell that I had fun with it. And especially the whole taunting John scene, man. Like, allowing Valdis to just be Valdis for a little bit was so much fun.
Yeah. I gotta say, besides that scene, my favorite thing is the world building, because you know me, I'm a fucking sucker for world building. And I love, I mean, my own work is indicative of this. I love world building that's done very subtly, and it hints at the greater thing, but there's a consistent pattern. And what you're doing with the gradual molding of this rough idea of the world is really compelling me. And especially like the thing with the unsettled lands, that's very Tolkien of you. So this idea that humanity keeps expanding and reaching some kind of zenith and crumbling to near extinction, and this is a pattern that Valdis has seen repeat over many times, and that he never gets tired of seeing it. This is just so fascinating to me, because it's like, okay, we're clearly in some kind of a future a post-future setting, but Valdis is clearly something that's not human. He only looks human, and it just really makes your brain churn. Is this science fiction? Is this high fantasy? What the fuck is going on here? Like, it's so fucking compelling, Mason. And frankly, like, I could literally, at this point, I care about this story enough. If you just wrote like the equivalent of like the fucking Silmarillion, where it was just all backstory for this, I'd fucking read it, because
it's like, I need the details.
I care more about the history of Mason's fictional world than I do this world's.
Thank you very much. That's a massive compliment.
Oh, it's like this.
I love you saying it's very Tolkien of me. That's the highest compliment that you could pay me.
I mean, it literally sounds like something that could be in Tolkien, the Unsettled Lands. Like, that's quintessentially a Tolkien sounding thing. Like,
I can't wait for you to see like the arc that I've got planned out for these next few chapters. Like I said to Lee the other day, I was like, this has gone in a totally different direction to what I thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
Like, it's amazing now to me that like, so this is just over 3 hours long in total,
Uh-huh.
like with the combined length of all the videos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if this was a novel that we were reading, and we were 3 hours in, and all of this shit had happened, I'd be like, okay. Because so often I feel like I read a book and I get 3 hours in, and I'm like, what exactly has happened now?
Right. Yeah.
Whereas if you actually unpack everything that's taken place so far, I feel like I've actually managed to pack a lot in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing to me to look back and like think about like when I was writing Desolation and introducing Evander. I never thought that I'd end up here in this place that I'm at now. And like I really enjoyed writing Arya in that because I loved that I didn't want her to just be this like stupid teenage girl.
Right.
Like, and even though she has been tricked by him, I love that there's like, there's just that. I feel like I did a fairly good job of capturing like the emotional turmoil of being a teenager, especially in the position that she's been in. Like this, I mean, you so fucking confused at that age anyway about how you feel, and she's like 6 months into grieving the loss of her mother. And now, like, the closest thing that she has to her father has died. Her community has fallen apart. None of them cared enough about her to, like, say, hey, come with us. They just left her to, like, this guy.
This stranger.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. And yeah, so first of all, yes, that would be extremely traumatizing for any psychologically and neurologically normal person. That would be an extremely potent trauma just by itself. They all left and no one even bothered to say, are you good with him? Like,
Right.
no
Yeah.
one even bothered to say that. And that would be an extreme trauma in and of itself. Then there's also the other, just separate from that, this spark that Valdis has seen. I know the way he sees it. He thinks he sees a spark of darkness, but that could be a spark of something else entirely. And so it's characterization that Valdis saw that defiance, that will hidden beneath the surface, and he instantly assumed that's darkness. That tells us what angle Valdis sees the world from. And I find that very interesting. And I'm very interested in seeing whether he was right and that is a spark of darkness, or whether she's naturally moral and he has to completely corrupt that. I'm very, very interested in seeing how that progresses.
I really loved that last scene of like, because I do picture them all just as scenes. I find it really hard to not write and imagine it, as like a TV show or whatever, especially with the episodic nature of how I've been doing Bleeding Ground.
Right.
But I loved that last scene, man, of her just like packing all this shit up and making the conscious decision of I'm leaving all this shit behind because I don't. Like, I'll take this locket that my mother left. Other than that, I'm leaving everything behind because I just don't even want to think about this place anymore. And like, honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. That line about if she could, she would have stood upon the cliffs and watched it all turn to dust, whether or not they'd angered the gods and they were being punished for some unproven crime. This place was cursed and haunted by all the ghosts of the people that she once loved. Like, I wrote that and I was like, I've got goosebumps from that.
Yes. Yeah.
And just this image of her walking away and just not looking back, refusing to look back because she's just determined to just shed the skin of this, like, of this person that she was. And, especially considering that we know that she blames, or not necessarily blames, but like that she hates the fact that she was too small and weak to help during like the raid. And she just wants to shed the skin of this person that she is. And she just, you know, it just ends with her just walking away. And that last line, man, of her just echoing that thing that Valda said to her about never again letting the world take something that she wasn't willing to give, was just like, I just loved that.
Yeah. There's something I want to do really quick. And it's partially to kind of jerk myself off in a way. Hang on here. I'm going.
Yeah.
It's funny as well, a little peek behind the curtain. One of the reasons that chapter came about was that I just couldn't think of anything to go on in the cove. I was like, in a way, all of that like beginning bit with like all that beginning monologue with Valdus being like frustrated that it was boring was sort of me channeling the fact that I was like, God damn it, you've had him like destroy Huxley and show up at this village, and like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, what is there to do with him that's interesting, that's not just showing sort of the same thing again that we know that he's already done?
Yeah.
And so I channeled it into the direction that it went into, and I just thought, right, I'm not going to stick around in this cove because everyone's going to be expecting that to be the thing that, you know, the next few chapters are just going to be him just farting around in this cove.
Right.
And I was like, right, I'm getting out of here as soon as possible.
Uh-huh. Oh, man. And the other thing, like, while I was reading it, I thought it would be kind of funny. I was like, this would be totally out of place. But, you know, them getting smart about, you know, all these people are just randomly dying. And if he were to be like, oh no, because some of them were being killed by someone else and he didn't remember, like, actually having killed some of those people.
Well, one of the iterations that I had was that Arya was already going to be quite dark, and I was going to have it sort of the opposite way around, that she'd recognize this darkness in Valdus.
Yeah.
And like that meeting at the beginning where John's like, we've lost loads of people. I was going to have him like name some of the people and then have Valdus be like, that one wasn't me.
That wasn't mine.
Oh, that would have been a really interesting angle.
Yeah.
And then have him like look at Arya and her just like with a little smile of like, surprised you there, didn't I? But I in a way, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want her to be like smarter than Valdus, at least not yet. Like there's like, you know, I could possibly go down that route somewhere down the line of her doing something really dark and Valdus being like, oh, right, okay then, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And also, now that we've finished, I will tackle the grooming thing, because in a way, as much as I hate to admit it, I kind of have Zack to thank for this chapter.
Okay.
Because the whole grooming thing, I was just sitting there and I was just thinking about it, and I was like, he's not going to be the only one that like is thinking about that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I've dug myself into this hole. There's no way of digging myself out. No matter what I do, people are gonna get this grooming vibe. So why don't I just lean into it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good move in terms of see, that's really interesting. See, now this brings up a whole other discussion about like whether you should finish a piece of work before you allow people to see it, or if it's better to write something and then let people examine it and comment on it as it's being made. Because what that means is if Mason had just written the whole thing and then showed it to people, it would have been a totally different way.
Yeah.
And I find that parallel reality very fun to think about. It's like, what would this look like if Mason had been free from anyone else's influence over the course of writing it? And I would also like to see that story.
Me too, but at the same time, it wouldn't have been a story because the original chapter was never designed to be part of a bigger story. I would have just done that and just left it as that and just been like, right, that was a good little short story of like this guy that like is unkillable and like, you know what I mean? Like I would have just left it at that, and it was only because people were like, excuse me, what happens next? That I was like, well, I don't know. I better fucking write it, hadn't I?
Yeah, and if you think about it, man, nothing says you're a good writer like that. Nothing proves that you are an absolutely exquisitely talented writer than people saying, when's the next thing?
Right.
I need the next thing. Like nothing proves the point like that. It's just, it's absolutely fucking phenomenal. Now, the thing I wanted to do to stroke my own dick really quick is play something old really quick. I want to see if this still holds up to all the new information. Killer of the Three Fates. Darken this space. Demon of a past age. Killer of the Three Fates. Slayer of these foul apes. Slice them up like fish from my plate.
Only if you had dill.
Right.
Only if I had dill. Let's go. I couldn't make that sound cool though, Mason.
But only if you had dill.
Oil. Evilest thing around. Rep the scar on my neck, smiling like a sick clown in your town, putting bodies in the ground. You wanna fight? We can go another round. Screams cascade through the night. This is what I live for. Innocence in humans, things that I abhor, cause I'm a demon, a monster. Not something stop when I come around. All the bodies drop between your heads like a top favorite sound, the final chop. When it comes to killers, I'm the cream of the crop. I've been alive for an age, got Evander in a rage. His father thought himself a sage. Book of history lost his page. You know, because I fucking killed him.
I fucking killed him.
Oh my
Killed him. I love how you just laughed right there.
God. So hilarious.
Gonna need a squad, a legion to fight me. Think a magic sword will throw it, man, Evander, try me. You still gonna die over his corpse. The ghost of Huck's to cry. Before I'm found, I'll reduce cold to ash. Use the blood of my victims. Wash my evil ass.
As moisturizer.
Very rejuvenating for the skin.
Oh my god.
I kill for fun. I kill for sport. Never have I wept when I cut a life short. I've seen kingdoms rise, seen more fall. I'm a relic of doctors past, heeding evil's call. I want to traverse the world, slowly burn it all. Think your fate is a hero, but you look it awful small. Yeah. Tiny Evander, you ain't got shit. I'm gonna kill you.
Kill you.
I laugh in delight when I see a victim's fright. I torture and torment them till the wee hours of the night. Make sin look like virtue.
Literally just happened.
What?
Literally just happened.
Literally just happened. World is a canvas. Hand me some red paint. Spirits bled from the ground. Couldn't stop me. Ain't an evil thing alive that can haunt me. Step up, I'll fold your bones around. See? Then walk into the sunset with pure glee. Vow this story will kill you faster than some BD. I move like a shadow. You cannot see me. Grim Reaper, my only friend. Darkness till the end. Bodies of my victims in the coral reef. Spirits of the dead that the ocean keep. Like a specter of the night, I slowly creep. While I wait for your town to go to sleep. Bars! Oh man!
Back when my audio quality was wank.
Yeah, mine could be better too. I really got to get a fucking one of those big foam blocks to put around my mic. But yep, still holds up, still accurate.
Yeah, still 100% accurate. Another little peek behind the curtain. That whole bit where he was like, "This was an unimaginable loss, so on and so forth, blah blah blah." It was all very boring, and he wished he could just skip to the resolution so he could stop pretending to care. That was me being like, I can't be bothered to go into them lot arguing.
Yeah.
I just couldn't be bothered with like I wanted to keep the chapter shorter, and I couldn't be bothered with the whole scene of them like, how could this happen? We must have angered the gods. Oh my god, you killed
Right.
John. No, you killed John. I just couldn't be bothered with it, and I just wanted to get to the bit where it was like, we should leave and go to Hellborough. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna write that, and I'm just gonna write it and just have it so that he thinks like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it fit the character perfectly, and I gotta say, I've done that exact same thing as a writer. Like, I just I cannot be bothered, as you would say. I just won't fucking do it. I want to get to the better shit. This is just, I mean, I could potentially write this so it adds to the build, but I just don't want to. I just don't need to. Nah.
It's gonna add a whole nother like. Oh, I just said a whole nother. I hate that when people say that. That's just completely wrecked my train of thought. I hate it when people say a whole nother. It was
Another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it would have added a whole other like 20 fucking minutes on, or like, you know, another day of recording or whatever, and I would have had to try and think of voices to do for these fucking inconsequential characters that are there for like one line. I just couldn't be arsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you say the thing about you hate it when people say "nother," because I had that in the original. I don't remember if it's still in the draft. That's of Garden of Lies. I don't know if it made it into the final, but I wrote that in Garden of Lies, and I've always, because it's like who there was a wrestler that said it that way.
Mhm.
And there was a comedy skit that like the whole fucking bit was this dude was being ridiculous about saying whole nother level.
Yeah.
And it ever since then it's stuck with me as that's the way you say that, just for comedic effect.
Yeah.
Whole nother.
A
Yeah.
whole nothing.
A whole nother.
The
Yeah.
bit was the HNL bit from Mad TV. Gonna take it to the HNL. What's the HNL? A how? Nata. Lata.
Oh man. Yeah, I used to always get people with, oh, you mean as opposed to a half another.
Yeah. Yeah.
A half another.
Half another, yeah, I know.
As if another was just like a whole separate thing.
Well, I mean, you were almost saying it with the A in front of it there, Caitlin.
Yeah.
It's just because she can't physically say whole nother.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I can't do it. Listen, if you're wanting to show Kate that Stephen Lynch video, we should do that now, because I don't have too much longer left. I've overrun what I really need to, and at the minute anyway.
All right. So yeah, should we show her the I'm evil or Craig?
Craig.
Oh dear. Okay.
That's the one I know, and I find it really funny.
Oh.
I'm so glad you enjoyed that, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's impossible that you would write something that I wouldn't like, but I mean, dude, the Bleeding Ground is just right up my alley, and in terms of what we like in stories, we're so similar that it's just inevitable that you're gonna write shit I'm gonna love.
It's so fucking weird to me that I write that, though. You know, like
Yeah.
Like I'm like, if you look at me and you like look at my personality, that is the last fucking story you would expect me to write.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
happy-go-lucky Mason, and then I write this whole scene where Veldus is, and I'm just having a great time with it, with Veldus just like tormenting this guy to death. And also, managed to actually give myself goosebumps with my own thing. That whole bit, man, just as John's dying, where he's like, "Too soon, not ready, not ready,
Mm-hmm.
no." And I was,
Go ahead.
no, you go.
No, just Mason, go.
No, I was just saying, like, it just that just gave me goosebumps because it was just like, oh man, that guy's just died.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what I was just going to tack on that I've never written something that gave me goosebumps, but I've written something that made me cry, and I've written something that made me extremely horny. Ugh.
Can't say I've done either of those yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have definitely, and man, I still get teary eyed when I read the scene that when I wrote it, I cried.
I can't see me writing a sex scene. I can't see YouTube being too happy with that. If I'm like, Amin got on her knees.
Well, I
Plus-
mean,
Plus, my nan listens to those stories, so I. Plus, for the most part, I hate sex scenes. They're so awkward and just weird.
Well, I mean, they can be awkward, but
was
It
the one
depends
I
on
wrote
the-
awkward and weird?
Yeah. Because I just find it's nothing to do with your writing. I'm a man child, and I just find sex scenes inherently funny. I think for the most part, it's just because I don't find writing sexy, and there's just no words to use that like, and it like, oh god, at the minute I'm reading this fucking book. It's called Punk 57, and it's a fucking. I don't know whether it'd be classified as YA or not. It should be anyway because it's about fucking teenagers. But I got into it because it was like, oh, it's about these two kids that got made. They were made to be pen pals in school, and there was a mix-up because they, for whatever contrived reason, they both have names that sound like the opposite gender. So their schools got mixed up and paired them up as pen pals, and they spoke for 7 years, and then one of them accidentally bumps into the other one, and it's so fucking awkward and cringe, and it's so weird, man, because like these whole sex scenes, and I'm just like, oh my god, they are 18 years old, and I'm just too old to be reading about 18-year-olds having explicit sex.
Yeah.
And like, especially considering that at the point when they're having sex, one of them knows who the other one is and is pretending to be somebody else.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
because so it's the dude, right? And his sister died at the beginning of the book, and he's in the town where the girl lives because he's got something to do that for some reason he's keeping secret from even himself, so we don't know what his motivations are.
what?
Yeah, he hasn't thought, even once, he hasn't thought, I'm in this town for this. It's like, I'm in this town for the reasons I'm here. And like keeping it sort of mysterious. And it's like, dude, this guy would be thinking, I'm here to get my sister's shit back because there was some dude that she was fucking that's got her shit or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
So he's in like this girl's hometown that he's been talking to for 7 years. And he goes to the school for whatever reason. And he's like sees that she's like sort of mildly bullying this emo kid, and he's like he's all disappointed in her because he's like, well, this isn't the girl that I know from the letters. Right. So he starts sort of like fucking with her, and they have this like weird like antagonistic relationship that is like presented as being totally healthy.
Well, it's YA, right? So
and yeah, and then so when they end up having sex, he knows who she is, but she thinks he's like this other guy. And it's just like, dude, this is creepy. There's no way around it. You are being a fucking creep right now.
Yeah,
right.
The shit they get away with in YA, man.
Yeah. You think? Yeah, it's like, damn. I thought Valdis was a groomer.
Okay, Stephen Lynch. Then let's do this so I can.
Yeah, but at least they're the same age. But yeah, just yeah. Anyways.
I was thumbing through my Bible recently.
Why that gets a laugh?
And I came across a
Well, because they know who he is and they know his work.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
They're like, wait, you?
You were combing through your Bible. I don't believe you.
heard of before, and I was intrigued by this. In all my years and years of Bible study, I had never come across this gentleman, and he seemed to me relatively unknown to the public at large. And I thought, this is a guy I could write a song about, because not only is he kind of unknown, but he was kind of relatable in a way. He really was. He was like an everyman. He was the kind of guy you would hang out with in everyday life. So I wanted to write a song about him. And the best part is that he's related to someone else in the Bible, so you can kind of put him into context a little bit.
Oh, I actually think I told you to go on the wrong one. I thought this was the one that I knew, but I think I must have known I'm evil. Never mind.
Okay, well, we're here now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
Everyone knows Jesus, the guy who healed the lame. Well, I am Jesus' brother. Craig is my name. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Jesus is the Lamb. Jesus is the Son of God, but Craig don't give a damn. Because when Craig's inside, we'll party all damn night. I don't turn water into wine, but into cold Coors Light. I'm not my brother, I know, don't walk on H2O, but I got hydroponic shit that me and Judas grow. I'm fucking Craig. I'm fucking Craig. I'm fucking Craig.
I want this guy to be a busker in my hometown.
Yes.
Hey! Yeah, I'm fucking Craig! Craig Christ.
Craig Christ.
I hang out with lepers, Barabbas and Salome. Jesus' friends are called apostles. Those dudes are totally gay. Jesus performs miracles from Galilee to Rome. But it would be a miracle if he brought a fucking lady home.
I shouldn't be fucking laughing.
Yes, you should.
Because while Jesus is praying, fucking Craig is laying every lady in the testament. You know what I'm saying? I won't die for your sin like my famous kin. But if you got a little sister, then there's room at this end. I'm fucking Craig. Yeah, I'm fucking Craig. Fucking Craig. Craig Christ.
I feel like this is a spiritual. I feel like this is a spiritual sibling to that fucking song that Adam Sandler does. What is it?
Yeah.
Oh God, what is that song from Adam Sandler? Hang on.
Jesus was our mother's fave. All her love to him she gave. But there's no sibling rivalry when he's nailed to that tree. And now the question for you is not what would Jesus do, but where will you be when the Craig machine comes partying through? And if the Lord will allow, you got to ask yourself how and who and why and when and where is my Messiah now? It's fucking Craig. It's fucking Craig.
Oh my God. Jesus didn't come out of the cave, did he?
Oh, fucking Craig.
Craig just stole his brother's identity.
Craig Christ.
Oh, we have always looked similar. I'm like, right,
God.
this is my chance.
Uh,
He's dead. He's in the cave. I can go out
Oh,
there
dear.
and tell everyone that I'm him, and they'll believe me.
Oh man, I think this
Ah.
got.
You think
What,
what?
Caitlin?
I just got a notice. It said live stream copyright notice.
Oh my God, of course.
Oh dear.
But
We were gonna call it anyway.
God, oh fuck! What is the song by Adam Sandler? It's Polychronopolis. That's what it is. Steve Polychronopolis. Yep, that's the song. All right. I was just Mason. Have you heard this? Steve
No.
Polychronopolis. Okay.
Polychronopolis.
I'm a big fucking dick. I'm a pain in your ass. I drink all your beer. I'll eat the last slice. I'll give you Charlie horses. I'll pull your shorts down at the beach. I always need a ride. Nobody likes me. My name's Steve, motherfucker!
Polychronopolis.
You see what I mean? How these songs are like
Yeah.
related. Oh man, fucking comedy rock.
It's great.
It's always brilliant.
It really, I have yet to find like a comedy musician who I can't at least enjoy a few of their songs.
I'll send you some Bill Bailey.
Never heard of him.
Have you seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes.
He's the voice of the whale.
Oh man, it's been a long time since I've.
You know, the whale that falls out of the sky and he's like, the ground. Oh, hello, ground. Do you want to be friends? Right before he smashes into it. All right, I really need to call it now because I've run by quite a bit.
Alrighty, head out. This has been Team Adventurous. Catch y'all later.
Goodbye. Welcome to the adventure.
Welcome to the
adventure.
Done.
Dun,
Dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.